We all have a version of ourselves we dream of becoming. This vision of our ideal self is often a composite of our highest aspirations, our deepest values, and our most cherished dreams. It's a mental image that we carry with us, sometimes consciously, but more often as a subtle undercurrent that influences our thoughts, decisions, and actions. It's like this quiet whisper in the back of our minds, a gentle nudge in our hearts. This whisper can be heard in moments of solitude, when we reflect on our lives and consider the possibilities of what we could become. It's a soft, persistent voice that reminds us of our potential and encourages us to strive for more. This version is just a little bit better, a little bit stronger, a little bit wiser. It's the person who makes healthier choices, who seeks knowledge and understanding, who practices mindfulness and self-awareness. This ideal self is not perfect, but they are always growing, always evolving, always striving to be the best version of themselves. Maybe this person is healthier, waking up with energy and vitality. They start their day with a sense of purpose, engaging in activities that nourish their body and mind. They make conscious choices about what they eat, how they move, and how they spend their time, all with the goal of enhancing their well-being. Maybe they're more creative, always bringing new ideas to life. They find joy in the act of creation, whether it's through art, writing, music, or any other form of self-expression. They are constantly exploring new ways to express themselves and share their unique perspective with the world. Or maybe they're just more present, really engaged with their loved ones and the world around them. They listen deeply, connect authentically, and cherish the moments they share with others. They understand the value of relationships and make an effort to nurture and strengthen their connections. This longing for improvement, well, it's a fundamental part of the human experience. It's something that transcends cultures, ages, and backgrounds. No matter where we come from or what our circumstances are, we all share this intrinsic desire to grow, to evolve, and to become better versions of ourselves. It's a shared thread that connects all of us, no matter our age, background, or circumstances in life. This universal desire for self-improvement is a testament to the human spirit, to our innate drive to reach our full potential and to make a positive impact on the world around us. And this desire for a better self isn't coming from a place of self-loathing or feeling like we're not enough. It's not about rejecting who we are, but rather about embracing the possibility of who we could become. It's about recognizing our strengths, acknowledging our weaknesses, and striving to grow in a way that is authentic and meaningful to us. Instead, it comes from this deep, innate potential that we sense within ourselves. It's a feeling that we are capable of more, that we have untapped abilities and talents waiting to be discovered and developed. This potential is like a glowing light within us, guiding us towards our true purpose and calling. We know we're capable of more. We feel this drive to push our limits, to challenge ourselves, and to see what we can achieve. This determination is what fuels our efforts, keeps us going when things get tough, and helps us overcome obstacles and setbacks. We feel the pull of growth and the promise of what we could achieve if we just found the right path. This sense of possibility is what motivates us to keep searching, to keep trying, and to keep moving forward, even when the way ahead is unclear. This feeling can be a really powerful motivator, pushing us to seek knowledge, try new things, and strive for excellence. It's what drives us to learn, to grow, and to continually improve ourselves. It's the force that keeps us curious, open-minded, and willing to step out of our comfort zones. It's the engine of personal evolution, the force that keeps us from becoming stagnant and encourages us to reach for that next level of our own development. It's what propels us to take on new challenges, to set higher goals, and to keep striving for more, even when we've already achieved a lot. The challenge, though, isn't in having the desire. That part is easy, it just comes naturally. The real challenge lies in translating that desire into action, in making the changes necessary to become the person we want to be. It's about turning our dreams into reality, and that requires effort, commitment, and perseverance. The real difficulty is in turning that desire into real, lasting change. It's about developing the habits, routines, and mindsets that support our growth and help us stay on track. It's about overcoming the obstacles and challenges that inevitably arise, and finding the strength and resilience to keep going, even when things get tough. We can picture the person we want to be, but the road from here to there often seems kind of shrouded in fog. It's not always clear how to get from where we are to where we want to be. The path can be winding, uncertain, and full of unexpected twists and turns. We see the destination clearly in our mind's eye, but the steps to get there are, honestly, unclear and even daunting. It's easy to feel overwhelmed by the enormity of the task, to doubt our ability to succeed, and to get discouraged when progress seems slow or elusive. This gap between our aspirations and our daily actions is where so many of us get stuck, feeling the frustration of knowing what we want, but not knowing how to achieve it consistently. It's a common experience, and it can be incredibly disheartening to feel like we're not making the progress we hoped for. This essay is about bridging that gap. It's about finding practical, actionable strategies to help us move from where we are to where we want to be. It's about shedding light on the path ahead so we can navigate it with confidence and clarity. It's about illuminating the path from who you are today to who you want to become. It's about providing the tools, insights, and guidance you need to make meaningful progress towards your goals. It's about helping you see that the journey is not only possible, but also rewarding and fulfilling. And it's about showing you that the journey doesn't have to be some monumental struggle. It doesn't have to be a constant uphill battle. Instead, it can be a series of small, manageable steps that, over time, lead to significant and lasting change. The transformation you seek isn't found in a single heroic leap. It's in the small, almost invisible choices you make every single day. It's in the daily habits and routines that, over time, add up to big changes. It's in the consistent, incremental progress that leads to lasting transformation. We'll explore how these tiny actions, these atomic habits, are the key to unlocking your fullest potential and building a life that really aligns with your deepest aspirations. We'll look at how small, consistent efforts can lead to big results, and how you can create a plan that works for you. It's a journey of 1,000 miles, and well, it begins with a single, simple step. Each step you take brings you closer to your goals, and each small victory builds momentum. So let's take that first step together and embark on the journey towards becoming the best version of ourselves. Every year, as the clock strikes midnight and the world erupts in celebration, there's a palpable sense of hope that seems to sweep across the globe. The air is thick with possibility, and for a brief moment it feels as if anything is possible. The old year, with all its disappointments and missed opportunities, is behind us. Ahead lies a blank slate, a fresh start, and the promise of transformation. It's a time when people everywhere pause to reflect on their lives, to take stock of where they are and where they want to be. There's a collective energy, a shared optimism, that unites us in this annual ritual of renewal. Millions of people, from all walks of life, make a solemn promise to themselves. Some do it quietly, scribbling their intentions in a private journal or whispering them in the dark before sleep. Others announce their resolutions to friends and family, or even post them on social media for the world to see. No matter how it's done, the act is the same: a declaration of intent, a commitment to change, a vow to become a better version of ourselves. This is the year, we tell ourselves. This is the year I will finally get in shape. Write that book, learn that language, or save more money. The goals may differ, but the underlying desire is universal: to improve, to grow, to move closer to the life we imagine for ourselves. We envision a future where our habits are healthier, our minds sharper, our relationships stronger, and our dreams within reach. The possibilities seem endless, and for a moment, we truly believe that lasting change is not only possible, but inevitable. Fueled by this surge of motivation, we take action. We buy new gym memberships, invest in fresh journals, and sign up for online courses. We fill our shopping carts with healthy groceries, download productivity apps, and set ambitious goals for the months ahead. There's a sense of excitement in the air, a feeling that this time, things will be different. We're armed with tools, resources, and a renewed sense of determination. The first few days of January are often marked by a flurry of activity, as we throw ourselves into our new routines with enthusiasm and hope. We're convinced that this time will be different. This time, the change will stick. We imagine ourselves a few months down the line, fitter, happier, more accomplished. We picture the compliments from friends, the sense of pride in our own achievements, the satisfaction of having finally followed through. The vision is so vivid, so compelling, that it feels almost within our grasp. We tell ourselves that we have what it takes, that we're ready to leave our old habits behind and embrace a new way of living. This collective ritual of setting New Year's resolutions is really a testament to our enduring desire for self-improvement. It's a tradition that spans cultures and generations, a reflection of our innate belief in the possibility of change. We gather with friends and family, sharing our hopes and dreams for the year ahead. We write lists, make vision boards, and set intentions. There's a sense of camaraderie in knowing that we're not alone in our quest for betterment. The act of making resolutions is, in itself, an act of hope, a declaration that we believe in our own potential to grow and evolve. But what happens just a few weeks later? For most of us, that initial burst of motivation starts to fade. The excitement of a new beginning gives way to the realities of daily life. The early mornings at the gym become harder to sustain, the healthy meals take more effort to prepare, and the novelty of our new routines begins to wear off. The demands of work, family, and other responsibilities start to crowd out our best intentions. The energy that once fueled our resolutions is slowly replaced by fatigue, stress, and the pull of old habits. The gym, once packed with eager newcomers, starts to empty out. The treadmills that were in high demand just weeks ago now sit unused, gathering dust. The classes that were once full are now half empty, and the buzz of excitement has faded into a quiet routine. The same pattern plays out in other areas of our lives as well. The journals we bought with such high hopes remain blank, the online courses go unwatched, and the healthy groceries spoil in the fridge. The journal gathers dust on the nightstand, a silent reminder of our abandoned intentions. The pages that were meant to be filled with insights and progress remain empty, a testament to the gap between our aspirations and our actions. Each time we glance at it, we feel a pang of guilt, a sense of having let ourselves down. The tools we once saw as keys to transformation now feel like symbols of failure. The language app on our phone goes unopened, its cheerful notifications ignored. The streaks we were so proud of are broken, and the lessons we promised to complete remain untouched. The excitement of learning something new is replaced by the familiar comfort of scrolling through social media or watching TV. The gap between our intentions and our actions grows wider, and the sense of possibility that once felt so real begins to fade. The powerful resolve we felt on January 1st slowly dissolves into the familiar patterns of our old life. The calendar pages turn, the days slip by, and our resolutions become distant memories. We find ourselves slipping back into routines that feel safe and comfortable, even if they're not aligned with our goals. The sense of momentum we once had is replaced by a feeling of stagnation, and we begin to question whether real change is even possible. This experience is so common that it's become, honestly, a cultural cliché. We laugh about our failed resolutions over coffee with friends, swapping stories of abandoned diets, unused gym memberships, and half-finished projects. There's a sense of camaraderie in our shared struggles, a recognition that we're all in the same boat. The jokes and laughter help to soften the sting of disappointment, but beneath the surface, there's a deeper sense of frustration. We joke about our failed resolutions, but beneath the humor, there's a real sense of disappointment and frustration. We wonder why it's so hard to follow through, why our best intentions seem to evaporate so quickly. There's a nagging feeling that we're missing something, that there must be a better way to create lasting change. The laughter masks a deeper longing for progress, for growth, for the satisfaction of seeing our efforts pay off. We wonder why we can't seem to make these important changes last. We question our own willpower, our discipline, our ability to stick with things when the going gets tough. The cycle of setting goals, falling short, and feeling disappointed becomes all too familiar. It's easy to start believing that maybe we're just not cut out for change, that our dreams are always just out of reach. The problem isn't with our intentions. Our goals are usually noble and worthwhile. Wanting to be healthier, more productive, or more fulfilled is a sign of growth, not weakness. The desire to improve is a fundamental part of being human. We set goals because we care about our lives, our futures, and the people around us. The issue isn't that we're aiming too high or dreaming too big. It's that the way we go about pursuing those dreams is often flawed. The problem is in our approach. We treat change as an event, a grand gesture that should happen all at once. We expect to wake up on January 1st and suddenly become a different person, as if the turning of the calendar has magical powers. We set ambitious goals and try to overhaul our lives overnight, believing that massive results require massive, immediate action. This mindset sets us up for disappointment because real change is rarely dramatic or instantaneous. We believe that massive results require massive, immediate action. We throw ourselves into new routines with intensity, determined to make up for lost time. We push ourselves to the limit, convinced that if we just try hard enough, we can force change to happen. But this all-or-nothing approach is unsustainable. It's like trying to sprint a marathon. We may start strong, but we quickly run out of steam. This all-or-nothing mindset, though, sets us up for failure. When we inevitably miss a day at the gym, eat an unhealthy meal, or skip a study session, we feel like we've ruined everything. The pressure to be perfect becomes overwhelming, and the smallest slip-up feels like a catastrophe. Instead of seeing setbacks as a normal part of the process, we interpret them as evidence that we're not cut out for change. When we inevitably miss a day at the gym or eat an unhealthy meal, we feel like we've broken our perfect streak. The guilt and shame that follow can be paralyzing, making it even harder to get back on track. We start to doubt ourselves, to question whether we have what it takes to succeed. The cycle of self-criticism and disappointment becomes a barrier to progress, trapping us in old patterns. We see this small stumble as a total failure, and the disappointment often leads us to abandon our goal entirely, promising to try again next year. The cycle repeats itself year after year as we chase the illusion of a fresh start. Each time we hope that things will be different, but the outcome is almost always the same. The promise of transformation turns out to be a mirage, a fleeting vision that disappears as soon as we get close. This cycle of resolving, failing, and waiting to try again is what I call the New Year's resolution mirage. It's the illusion that change is just around the corner, that all we need is a little more willpower or a better plan. But the truth is, lasting change doesn't come from grand gestures or dramatic resolutions. It comes from small, consistent actions, repeated over time. It looks like a real opportunity for change from a distance, but as we get closer, it just kind of evaporates, leaving us right back where we started. The promise of a new beginning fades, and we're left with the same challenges, the same habits, the same doubts. The cycle can be discouraging, making us feel powerless to create the life we want. It's a discouraging loop that can make us feel powerless over our own lives. We start to believe that change is out of reach, that our efforts are doomed to fail. The sense of hope that once inspired us is replaced by resignation, and we settle for less than we're capable of achieving. But it doesn't have to be this way. But what if the problem isn't our lack of willpower? What if the problem is actually the system we're using? What if the key to lasting change isn't about trying harder, but about trying differently? Imagine if, instead of relying on bursts of motivation, we built habits that supported our goals, even when we didn't feel inspired. What if we focused on progress, not perfection, and learned to celebrate small wins along the way? It's time to step out of this cycle and discover a more effective, more sustainable way to create the change we so deeply desire. Real transformation doesn't happen overnight, and it doesn't require superhuman willpower. It starts with understanding ourselves, setting realistic expectations, and building systems that make success inevitable. The journey to lasting change is not a sprint, but a series of small intentional steps that anyone can take starting today. We all have goals. No matter who we are, where we come from, or what stage of life we're in, there's something inside us that yearns for more. Sometimes these goals are crystal clear, etched in our minds like a destination on a map. Other times, they're more like a vague sense of longing, a whisper that tells us life could be different, better, if only we could reach a little further. We want to lose weight, build a successful business, or become a better parent. Maybe we dream of running a marathon, writing a novel, or simply finding more balance in our lives. These ambitions are as diverse as we are, but they all share a common thread: the desire to grow, to improve, to become someone we're proud of. These goals are our destinations. They're the what we want to achieve. They're the shining beacons on the horizon, calling us forward. They give us something to aim for, a reason to get up in the morning and push through the challenges that life inevitably throws our way. They give us a sense of direction and purpose, painting a picture of a future that's better than our present. When we imagine ourselves achieving these goals, we feel a surge of hope and motivation. It's as if we can already taste the satisfaction of success, even before we've taken the first step. Setting a goal is often the first step we take when we decide we want to change something about our lives. It's a declaration, both to ourselves and to the world, that we're ready for something new. It's the moment we move from wishing to intending, from dreaming to doing. It feels productive and empowering. There's a rush of energy that comes with making a commitment, with putting our intentions into words or writing them down. For a moment, It feels as if we've already taken a giant leap toward our dreams. We write it down, we tell our friends, and we feel a surge of excitement about the possibilities that lie ahead. We imagine the pride we'll feel when we finally cross that finish line, the joy of sharing our success with those we love, and the satisfaction of knowing we made it happen. However, there's often a significant gap between setting these wonderful goals and living the daily reality required to achieve them. This gap can feel daunting, even overwhelming. It's the space between who we are now and who we want to become, between our current habits and the new ones we need to build. The goal is the glamorous outcome, the finish line we can see in our imagination. It's the medal, the promotion, the applause, the before and after photo. It's the moment we've been waiting for, the reward for all our hard work. The reality is the unglamorous process. The early morning workouts when we're tired, the difficult phone calls we need to make for our business, the patient conversations we must have with our children when we're stressed. It's the repetition, the setbacks, the days when motivation is nowhere to be found and progress feels painfully slow. It's in this messy day-to-day reality that our ambitions often collide with the friction of life and progress stalls. We encounter obstacles we didn't anticipate, distractions that pull us off course, and moments of doubt that make us question whether our goals are even possible. Think about it this way. Both winners and losers in any field often share the exact same goals. Every competitor wants to win. Every applicant wants to be chosen. Every artist wants their work to be celebrated. The desire for success is universal, but the path to achieving it is anything but simple. Every athlete in the Olympics wants to win a gold medal. They train for years, sacrificing comfort and leisure, all for a shot at standing on that podium. But only a few will achieve that dream, while many will fall short, despite sharing the same goal. Every job applicant wants to get the position. They prepare, they rehearse their answers, they dress their best. Yet only one will receive the offer, while others walk away disappointed, wondering what they could have done differently. If successful and unsuccessful people share the same goals, then the goal itself can't be the thing that differentiates them. The finish line is the same for everyone, but not everyone crosses it. So what makes the difference? Having a goal isn't the secret to success. If it were, we'd all be living our dream lives, effortlessly achieving everything we set our minds to. But the truth is, goals alone are not enough. If it were, we'd all achieve everything we set our minds to. But reality is more complicated. Life is unpredictable, and the journey from where we are to where we want to be is rarely a straight line. The difference, then, must lie somewhere else entirely. It's not in the goal itself, but in the actions we take every day, the habits we build, the systems we create, and the resilience we develop along the way. The real differentiator is not the goal, but the system of daily habits that supports it. It's the routines we stick to, even when motivation fades. It's the small choices we make, day after day, that add up to big results over time. A goal is a singular event, a point in the future. It's a snapshot, a moment frozen in time. But life isn't lived in snapshots. It's lived in the countless moments between now and then. A system is the process you follow every day that leads you to that result. It's the structure you build around your life to make progress inevitable, even when you don't feel like it. Systems turn aspirations into actions, and actions into achievements. Your goal might be to write a novel, but your system is the writing schedule you follow each week. It's the commitment to sit down and write, even when inspiration is nowhere to be found. It's the willingness to revise, to edit, to keep going when the words don't come easily. Your goal might be to run a marathon, but your system is your training plan for each month. It's the early morning runs, the cross-training sessions, the rest days you honor to prevent injury. It's the discipline to show up, rain or shine, and trust the process. It's this system, this collection of consistent actions, that bridges the gap between your goals and your reality, turning your aspirations into achievements. The journey is rarely easy, and the gap between where you are and where you want to be can feel vast. But with the right system, every small step brings you closer. Over time, those steps add up, and one day, you'll look back and realize you've crossed the gap. Not in a single leap, but in 1,000 determined strides. The real magic isn't in setting the goal, but in building the habits that make it possible. That's how you close the gap between your dreams and your reality. One day, one action, one choice at a time. Living with unfulfilled ambitions can be heavy. It's a weight that doesn't always announce itself loudly, but instead settles quietly on our shoulders, growing heavier with each passing day. Sometimes it's not even a conscious thought, but a subtle ache, a sense that something important is missing, that there's a gap between who we are and who we hoped to become. This feeling can creep into our mornings, making it harder to get out of bed or linger in the evenings as we replay the day and wonder where the time went and why we didn't do more. It's a quiet burden that we carry with us every day. It doesn't always show on the outside, but inside it can feel like a constant companion. Sometimes it's a whisper in the back of our minds, reminding us of the things we haven't done, the dreams we've set aside, or the goals we keep postponing. Other times it's a dull ache that colors our mood, making us feel restless or dissatisfied, even when everything else seems fine. It's the nagging feeling that we're not living up to our potential. We look at ourselves and wonder if we're wasting our talents, our time, or our opportunities. We question whether we're making the most of the gifts we've been given, or if we're letting fear, doubt, or inertia hold us back. This feeling can be especially strong when we see others moving forward, achieving their goals, or living the kind of life we wish we had. It's the book we started but never finished, the story that lives only in our imagination, waiting for us to give it life. It's the half-written pages, the abandoned drafts, the ideas that once excited us but now gather dust in the corners of our minds. Each unfinished project is a reminder of what could have been, and sometimes of what still could be, if only we found the courage or the discipline to return to it. It's the business idea that remains a sketch in a notebook, the plan we mapped out in detail but never acted on. Maybe we told ourselves we'd start when the timing was right, or when we had more experience, or when life was less chaotic. But the perfect moment never came, and so the idea stayed just that, an idea full of potential, but never realized. It's the healthier lifestyle we always plan to start next Monday. The gym membership card that's never swiped, the running shoes that gather dust, the healthy recipes bookmarked but never cooked. We promise ourselves that tomorrow will be different, that we'll finally make the change, but somehow, tomorrow always slips away. Each of these represents a promise we made to ourselves that we haven't yet kept. These promises are often private, known only to us, but their weight is real. They are the silent contracts we sign in moments of hope or inspiration, and the quiet disappointments we feel when we break them. Over time, the weight of these unkept promises can build up, like papers piling on a desk, creating a clutter that's hard to ignore. Each new goal we set and abandon adds another layer, making it harder to see a clear path forward. The more we let things slide, the more overwhelming it feels to even begin. This accumulation leads to feelings of guilt, frustration, and even a sense of being stuck. We might feel angry at ourselves for not following through, or disappointed that we haven't made more progress. Sometimes we try to ignore these feelings, distracting ourselves with work, entertainment, or other obligations. But the sense of being stuck lingers, making it hard to move forward or find joy in the present. This weight doesn't just affect our mood, it can actually shape our self-perception. We start to see ourselves through the lens of our unfinished ambitions, measuring our worth by what we haven't accomplished, rather than what we have. This can erode our confidence and make us question our abilities, even in areas where we've been successful. When we repeatedly fail to follow through on our intentions, it chips away at our trust in ourselves. We start to doubt our own word, wondering if we can rely on ourselves to do what we say we'll do. This self-doubt can seep into other areas of our lives, making it harder to set new goals or take on new challenges. We might start to believe a negative story about ourselves. We tell ourselves that we're not disciplined enough, not motivated enough, or simply not cut out for success. These stories can become deeply ingrained, shaping the way we see ourselves and the world around us. We might label ourselves as lazy, undisciplined, or lacking willpower. These labels can be hard to shake, especially when they're reinforced by repeated experiences of falling short. Over time, they can become part of our identity, making it even harder to break the cycle. This internal narrative becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. The more we believe we're incapable of change, the less likely we are to try. We start to avoid new challenges, fearing that we'll just end up disappointing ourselves again. This avoidance only reinforces the negative story, creating a loop that's hard to escape. Believing we're the kind of person who doesn't finish things makes it harder to start new things. We hesitate, second-guess ourselves, and sometimes give up before we even begin. The fear of failing again can be paralyzing, keeping us stuck in place even when we want to move forward. We begin to doubt our ability to change, to grow, or to achieve anything meaningful. This doubt can be more limiting than any external obstacle because it comes from within. It's the voice that says, "Why bother? You'll just give up anyway." It's the feeling that no matter how hard we try, we'll never be able to break free from our old patterns. And this doubt becomes the biggest obstacle of all, a heavy anchor holding us in place. It keeps us from taking risks, from trying new things, or from believing that change is possible. The longer we carry this weight, the harder it becomes to imagine a different future. The pressure to make a dramatic change often makes this weight even heavier. We're bombarded with messages that tell us we need to transform our lives overnight, to make bold moves and achieve big results. But when we're already struggling, this pressure can feel overwhelming, making it even harder to take the first step. We see stories of overnight success and radical transformations, and it's easy to feel like we're falling behind. Social media is filled with highlight reels, people sharing their biggest wins, their most impressive achievements, their before and after photos. It can seem like everyone else is making progress while we're standing still, and we feel like we need to do something just as big to catch up. We compare our behind-the-scenes struggles to other people's finished products, forgetting that everyone has their own challenges and setbacks. This comparison can make our own efforts feel small or insignificant, even when they're meaningful to us. This pressure leads us to set huge, intimidating goals that are difficult to start and even harder to maintain. We tell ourselves that we need to make a complete overhaul, to change everything at once. But these big goals can be paralyzing, making it hard to know where to begin or how to keep going when things get tough. When we inevitably fall short of these lofty expectations, it can feel like another failure. We might beat ourselves up for not being disciplined enough or for not wanting it badly enough. But the truth is, change is hard, and expecting ourselves to do everything perfectly from the start is unrealistic. Each time we abandon a goal or project, it just adds to our collection of unfulfilled ambitions. The list grows longer, and the weight grows heavier. We start to wonder if we'll ever be able to break the cycle, or if we're destined to keep repeating the same patterns. It reinforces the story that we're not capable of change, that we're stuck with our flaws and limitations. This belief can be deeply discouraging, making it hard to find the motivation to try again. We might start to avoid setting new goals altogether, fearing that we'll just end up disappointed. And so, the burden we carry becomes even more substantial. It weighs us down, making it harder to move forward or to see the possibilities that still exist. The longer we carry this weight, the more it shapes our identity and our outlook on life. But there's a way to lift this weight. It doesn't require a dramatic transformation or a burst of superhuman willpower. Instead, it starts with a shift in perspective, a willingness to see ourselves and our ambitions in a new light. The solution isn't to try harder with the same broken approach. It's not about pushing ourselves to the brink or setting even bigger goals. Instead, it's about letting go of the need for perfection and embracing a more compassionate, realistic way of making progress. It's not about summoning a superhuman burst of motivation that will finally make everything click. Motivation comes and goes, and relying on it alone is a recipe for disappointment. What matters more is building habits and systems that support us, even when we don't feel inspired. The solution is to change our strategy entirely. Instead of aiming for massive overnight change, we can focus on making small, consistent improvements. We can break our goals down into manageable steps and celebrate progress along the way. It's about breaking free from the all-or-nothing cycle that keeps us stuck. We don't have to do everything perfectly, or all at once. We can give ourselves permission to start small, to make mistakes, and to keep going even when things don't go as planned. And in doing so, we learn to find power in smallness. Each tiny step forward is a victory, a sign that we're moving in the right direction. Over time, these small actions add up, creating real and lasting change. By focusing on tiny, manageable improvements, we make progress feel possible again. We build confidence with each small win, and gradually, the weight of unfulfilled ambitions begins to lift. We can begin to build momentum, one step at a time. Each action, no matter how small, is a statement that we believe in our ability to change. With each step, we prove to ourselves that we're capable of growth. Each small win, no matter how insignificant it seems, is worth celebrating. These moments remind us that progress is possible and that we're not defined by our past failures. Each win helps to lighten the load and rewrite the negative story we tell ourselves. We start to see ourselves as capable, resilient, and worthy of success. not because we've achieved everything we set out to do, but because we keep showing up and trying. One action at a time, we can transform the weight of unfulfilled ambitions into the fuel for a new story. One where progress is measured not by perfection, but by persistence, and where every small step forward is a victory worth honoring. In our culture, we are obsessed with the big moment. We crave the spectacle, the instant when everything changes in a flash. It's as if we're all waiting for that one dazzling firework to light up the sky and transform the night. This obsession is everywhere, in the stories we tell, the movies we watch, and the way we talk about success. We're drawn to the idea that life can pivot on a single dramatic event. We celebrate the breakthrough discovery, the game-winning shot, the overnight success story. These moments are exciting, electrifying, and easy to remember. They make for great headlines and viral videos. We see the confetti falling, the champagne popping, the tears of joy, and we think, that's what success looks like. We idolize the person who seems to have made it all happen in an instant, as if they simply flipped a switch and everything changed. We are drawn to narratives of dramatic, sudden transformation. The underdog who wins the championship, the inventor who stumbles upon a world-changing idea, the artist who becomes an overnight sensation. These stories captivate us because they promise that change can be immediate, that our lives can be rewritten in a single, breathtaking moment. This creates a widespread belief that meaningful change must be a massive, singular event, a quantum leap. We look at the mountain ahead and imagine that the only way to reach the summit is with one giant leap, a single act of courage or genius that will carry us to the top. The idea is seductive. Why take 1,000 small steps when you could just jump? We imagine that success is the result of one pivotal action or one moment of brilliant insight that changes everything instantly. We fantasize about the eureka moment, the flash of inspiration, the lucky break that will finally set us apart. It's comforting to believe that all it takes is one big move, one perfect decision to transform our lives. This belief shapes how we approach our own goals, leading us to search for that one big thing that will solve all our problems. We buy books promising the secret to instant success. We look for hacks and shortcuts. We wait for the perfect opportunity to make our move. We become fixated on finding the magic bullet, the single solution that will make everything fall into place. This idea of the quantum leap is largely a myth. The truth is, those big moments are almost always the result of countless small actions that came before. The firework that dazzles the sky is gone in an instant, but it took hours of preparation, careful planning, and precise timing to make it happen. The spectacle is fleeting, but the work behind it is long and often invisible. While it makes for a great story, it rarely reflects the reality of how true progress is made. Real change is slow, incremental, and often unglamorous. It's the late nights spent studying, the early mornings at the gym, the quiet hours of practice and repetition. It's the steady accumulation of effort, day after day, that eventually leads to something extraordinary. The successes we see from the outside are almost always the result of a long series of small, consistent efforts that were invisible to the public eye. The world sees the finished product, the highlight reel, but not the endless hours of preparation, the setbacks, the failures, and the quiet determination that made it all possible. The overnight success was likely years in the making, built upon a foundation of daily practice, relentless refinement, and overcoming countless small setbacks. The athlete who scores the winning goal has spent thousands of hours training, failing, and trying again. The musician who stuns the audience with a flawless performance has played the same notes over and over, perfecting every detail in solitude. The game-winning shot was the product of thousands of hours of practice shots taken in an empty gym. The champion's moment of glory is built on a mountain of invisible effort, on mornings when no one was watching, on days when motivation was low, but the work still got done. This myth is not just inaccurate, it can be incredibly damaging to our own progress. When we believe that change must be dramatic and immediate, we become impatient with ourselves. We get frustrated when results don't come quickly. We feel like failures if we don't see instant transformation, and we're tempted to give up before we've even really started. When we believe in the quantum leap, we devalue small improvements. We overlook the tiny wins, the incremental progress, the little habits that slowly move us forward. We forget that every great achievement is built on a foundation of small, consistent actions. We think, what's the point of saving a tiny amount of money? Why bother putting away a few coins when it won't make a difference right now? We dismiss the small steps because they seem insignificant compared to the giant leap we're hoping for. It's not enough to make me wealthy. We convince ourselves that if we can't make a huge change, it's not worth making any change at all. This thinking keeps us stuck, waiting for the perfect moment that never comes. Or what's the use of going for a 10-minute walk? We tell ourselves that if we can't run a marathon, there's no point in taking a single step. We underestimate the power of small actions, forgetting that every journey begins with a single stride. It's not going to get me in shape. We look for dramatic results and overlook the value of consistency. We want transformation, but we ignore the process that makes it possible. We dismiss the power of small positive actions because they don't deliver the immediate dramatic results we have been conditioned to expect. We want the before and after photo, the instant makeover, the sudden breakthrough. But real change is rarely so dramatic or so fast. We are always waiting for the perfect time to make a huge effort, and in doing so, we fail to make any effort at all. We put off starting until we feel ready for a big leap, not realizing that readiness comes from taking small steps, not from waiting for inspiration to strike. The truth is that real, lasting change is the product of daily habits, not once-in-a-lifetime transformations. It's the routines we build, the choices we make every day, that shape our lives in the long run. The small things we do, repeated over time, have a far greater impact than any single dramatic gesture. It is the accumulation of hundreds of small choices and tiny actions that, over time, compound into remarkable results. Just as a single coin added to a jar may seem insignificant, but over months and years, those coins add up to something substantial. Just as a single domino may seem unimportant, but when lined up with others, it can set off a chain reaction. We must let go of the pressure to make a monumental change and instead embrace the power of making a 1% improvement. Imagine if you could get just a little bit better every day. How much would that add up to over a year or a decade? The compounding effect of small improvements is extraordinary, but it requires patience and faith in the process. The path to achieving your goals is not a leap across a chasm. It is about laying one brick perfectly every single day. Each brick may seem small, but together, they build something strong and lasting. The wall is not built in a day, but brick by brick it rises. This is a more patient, more realistic, and ultimately more effective approach to building the life you want. When you focus on small, consistent actions, you free yourself from the pressure of perfection and the fear of failure. You give yourself permission to start where you are, to make progress at your own pace, and to celebrate every step forward, no matter how small. Over time, these small steps add up to something extraordinary, a life transformed not by a single leap, but by the quiet power of persistence and the steady rhythm of daily effort. When we look back on our lives, we often remember the big moments, the graduations, the job offers, the moves to new cities, the relationships that began or ended. These are the milestones that stand out in our memories, the events we share in stories. But if we look closer, we realize that the true shape of our lives is not defined by these rare, dramatic events. Instead, it is molded by the thousands of tiny, almost invisible choices we make every single day. These are the decisions that seem so small, so routine, that we barely register them at all. Yet over time, they quietly accumulate, weaving the fabric of our existence. Most of these choices are so automatic that we move through them on autopilot. We wake up and reach for our phones before our eyes are fully open. We pour coffee into our favorite mug, barely tasting the first sip. We sit at our desks and our fingers find the keys, typing out emails and messages almost by muscle memory. These moments pass by in a blur, unnoticed and unremarkable. Yet within these moments, we are constantly making choices. The choice to scroll through our phone for a few more minutes, or to pick up a book and read a single page. The choice to let our minds wander, or to focus on something that matters to us. Each of these decisions, though seemingly insignificant, is a thread in the tapestry of our lives. Consider the choice between taking the elevator or the stairs. It's a decision that takes only a second, one that we might not even think about. But over weeks and months, the cumulative effect of that choice can be profound. One path leads to a little more movement, a little more strength, a little more energy. The other perhaps to a little less. or think about the decision to reach for a can of soda instead of a glass of water. In the moment, it's just a small indulgence, a tiny pleasure. But repeated day after day, it becomes a habit, one that can shape our health, our energy, and even our mood. Each of these individual decisions seems so minor, so inconsequential, that it's easy to dismiss them. We tell ourselves that one choice doesn't matter, that we'll do better tomorrow, that it's just a drop in the ocean. But every drop creates a ripple, and over time, those ripples can become waves. A single choice on its own will not transform your life. One healthy meal won't make you fit, just as one missed workout won't ruin your progress. One kind word won't heal a relationship, and one harsh comment won't destroy it. But the power of a single choice lies in its repetition, in the way it sets a pattern for what comes next. It's easy to dismiss these moments as trivial, to believe that they don't matter in the grand scheme of things. After all, life is busy, and we have so many demands on our attention. We move from one task to the next, barely pausing to consider the impact of our actions. But if we could step back and watch our lives unfold in fast forward, we would see how these small choices add up. Day after day, week after week, month after month, they accumulate, shaping the trajectory of our lives in ways we never imagined. The calendar pages flip, the seasons change, and suddenly, we find ourselves in a place we never expected, simply because of the quiet power of our everyday decisions. These small decisions are the building blocks of our habits, and our habits are the architects of our lives. Every time we choose to act in a certain way, we reinforce a pattern, making it easier to repeat that action in the future. Over time, these patterns become habits, and our habits become our destiny. Our habits determine so much more than we realize. They shape our health, influencing whether we feel energetic or sluggish, strong or weak. They affect our finances, guiding us towards saving or spending, investing or wasting. They impact our relationships, teaching us to listen or to interrupt, to show kindness or to withdraw. In the end, our habits are the foundation of our happiness, our success, and our sense of fulfillment. The person who consistently chooses the stairs, even when it would be easier to take the elevator, gradually becomes healthier and more resilient. Their heart grows stronger, their legs more powerful, their mind more disciplined. It's not a dramatic transformation, but a slow, steady improvement that builds over time. The person who reads a page each day, even when they're tired or distracted, slowly accumulates knowledge. They discover new ideas, expand their perspective, and develop a deeper understanding of the world. Over months and years, this small habit can open doors to new opportunities and richer experiences. The person who saves a little money each week, even when it feels insignificant, gradually builds a safety net. Their savings grow, their confidence increases, and they gain the freedom to make choices that align with their values. Wealth, like health and knowledge, is built one small decision at a time. The true power lies not in the single choice, but in the repetition of that choice over time. It's the daily commitment, the willingness to show up again and again, that creates lasting change. Each time we make a positive choice, we cast a vote for the person we want to become. But this power is a double-edged sword. Just as good habits can build a life of health, wealth, and happiness, poor habits can quietly erode our well-being. The same process that leads to growth can also lead to decline, depending on the direction of our choices. The quiet power that can build a good life can also build a detrimental one. Neglecting small responsibilities, making unhealthy choices, or ignoring opportunities for growth can set us on a path toward outcomes we never intended. Small, poor choices also compound. Skipping a workout, eating junk food, spending impulsively, none of these actions will ruin us in a day. But repeated over time, they can lead to outcomes that are difficult to reverse. A single cigarette doesn't cause cancer. It's the accumulation of many cigarettes, smoked over years, that creates the risk. The danger is not in the isolated act, but in the pattern it creates. A single unhealthy meal doesn't make you overweight, but a pattern of unhealthy eating, repeated day after day, can lead to weight gain, low energy, and health problems that are hard to undo. A single impulsive purchase doesn't lead to debt, but a habit of spending without thinking, of choosing short-term pleasure over long-term security, can quietly drain our resources and limit our options. When these choices are repeated day after day, they carve pathways in our lives. Just as footsteps wear down a trail through the grass, our repeated actions create habits that are hard to break. Over time, these habits shape our identity, our relationships, and our future. Because the immediate consequence of a small choice is often invisible, it's easy to let these minor errors slide. We tell ourselves that it's just this once, that we'll get back on track tomorrow. But the danger is that tomorrow becomes next week, and next week becomes next year. Before we know it, we're far from where we wanted to be, and the path back is much harder to find. The first step toward taking control of your life's trajectory is understanding this principle. When we recognize the power of our everyday choices, we gain the ability to shape our future, one small decision at a time. We realize that we are not at the mercy of fate or circumstance, but that we have the power to influence our own destiny. Every day we stand at a crossroads. Each moment presents us with a series of choices, some obvious, some subtle, that are either moving us closer to our desired future or further away from it. The path we take is not determined by a single dramatic decision, but by the quiet accumulation of our daily actions. The key is to become more conscious of these small moments, to pause even briefly and ask ourselves, does this choice align with the person I want to become? Is this action moving me toward my goals or away from them? By bringing awareness to our decisions, we can begin to steer our lives in the direction we truly desire. It's important to remember that this is not about being perfect. We will all make mistakes, slip up, and choose the easier path from time to time. What matters is not perfection, but persistence. The willingness to keep trying, to keep making small positive choices, even when it's difficult. Over time, these small adjustments add up. By tilting the balance of our daily choices, even slightly in a positive direction, we set ourselves on a path toward growth and fulfillment. It's the gentle, consistent effort that creates lasting change, not the occasional burst of willpower. True transformation doesn't happen in grand gestures or dramatic moments. It begins in the quiet, unassuming rituals of our everyday lives. It's found in the way we greet the morning, the choices we make at the table, the words we speak to ourselves and others. In these moments, we hold the power to shape our future, one small choice at a time. So as you move through your day, remember, the quiet power of your everyday choices is always at work, gently guiding you toward the life you are creating. So, how do we harness the power of these small daily choices? How do we transform the seemingly insignificant actions we take every day into a force for positive change in our lives? The answer lies in understanding and implementing the concept of atomic habits. These are the tiny, almost imperceptible actions that, when compounded over time, lead to significant improvements and remarkable results. But what exactly are atomic habits, and why are they so powerful? The answer lies in the concept of atomic habits. The term atomic might make you think of science class, where atoms are the fundamental building blocks of matter. In the same way, atomic habits are the fundamental building blocks of our daily routines and behaviors. They are the small, consistent actions that over time create the foundation for larger changes and achievements. The word atomic has two meanings, and both are relevant here. The first meaning is tiny or minuscule, like an atom. This highlights the smallness of the habits we are talking about. These are not grand gestures or major overhauls. They are the little things we do every day that seem almost too small to matter, yet it is precisely their smallness that makes them so powerful. Because they are so easy to do, they are also easy to repeat, and repetition is the key to forming habits. The first meaning is tiny or minuscule, like an atom. Think of a single grain of sand. On its own, it seems insignificant, but when combined with millions of other grains, it forms a beach. Similarly, an atomic habit is a very small habit, a tiny routine, an incremental improvement. It is a change that is so small it seems easy and almost insignificant to do. But don't let its small size fool you. These tiny actions are the seeds of significant change. An atomic habit is a very small habit, a tiny routine, an incremental improvement. Imagine writing just one sentence in a journal each day. It might not seem like much, but over time, those sentences add up to a story. The same principle applies to any habit you want to build. By focusing on small, manageable actions, you make it easier to start and, more importantly, to keep going. It is a change that is so small, it seems easy and almost insignificant to do. This is crucial because the easier a habit is to start, the more likely you are to stick with it. When a habit is easy, it doesn't require much motivation or willpower to perform. This lowers the barrier to entry and makes it more likely that you will repeat the action until it becomes automatic. Instead of trying to read a book every week, the atomic habit is to read one page every night. This small, consistent action is much more sustainable and less daunting than trying to tackle a whole book in a short period. Over time, those single pages add up, and before you know it, you've finished the book. This approach can be applied to any area of your life, whether it's learning a new skill, improving your health, or building better relationships. It is a manageable, non-intimidating starting point. When you start small, you remove the intimidation factor that often comes with big goals. This makes it easier to take that first step, which is often the hardest part. Once you've started, it's easier to keep going. Each small step builds momentum, making it easier to take the next step and the one after that. The second meaning of atomic is as a source of immense energy and power, as in atomic energy. This reflects the second half of the idea. While each habit is small on its own, the cumulative effect can be enormous. Just as a single atom can release a tremendous amount of energy, a single small habit, when repeated consistently, can lead to significant changes in your life. This reflects the second half of the idea. The power of atomic habits lies in their ability to compound over time. Each small action you take builds on the previous one, creating a ripple effect that leads to larger and larger changes. This is the essence of compound growth, where small, consistent actions lead to exponential results. While each habit is small on its own, the cumulative effect can be enormous. Think of it like planting a seed. At first, it seems like nothing is happening, but with consistent care and attention, that seed grows into a plant and eventually a tree. The same principle applies to habits. Each small action you take is like watering and nurturing that seed, and over time, it grows into something much larger and more impactful. Just as atoms are the building blocks of molecules, atomic habits are the building blocks of remarkable results. They are the fundamental units of a larger system. By focusing on these small actions, you create a strong foundation for bigger changes. This approach allows you to build a system of habits that support your goals and make it easier to achieve them. They are the fundamental units of a larger system. When you combine many of these small habits, you unlock a powerful force for change in your life. Each habit is like a piece of a puzzle. On its own, it might not seem like much, but when you put all the pieces together, you create a complete picture. This is the power of atomic habits. They allow you to build a system of small actions that, when combined, lead to significant results. When you combine many of these small habits, you unlock a powerful force for change in your life. The results are not linear, they are exponential, compounding over time to create a massive transformation. This is the essence of the compound effect. Each small action you take builds on the previous one, creating a snowball effect that leads to larger and larger changes. The results are not linear, they are exponential, compounding over time to create a massive transformation. This is why atomic habits are so powerful. They allow you to make small, consistent changes that, over time, lead to significant improvements. This approach is much more sustainable and effective than trying to make big changes all at once. Atomic habits are about focusing on the 1% improvements. The idea is that if you can get just 1% better each day, you will end up with results that are 37 times better after 1 year. This might not seem like much at first, but over time, these small improvements add up to significant changes. This is the power of compounding. Each small action you take builds on the previous one, creating a ripple effect that leads to larger and larger changes. The idea is that if you can get just 1% better each day, you will end up with results that are 37 times better after 1 year. This is the power of compounding. Each small action you take builds on the previous one, creating a ripple effect that leads to larger and larger changes. This approach is much more sustainable and effective than trying to make big changes all at once. This is the power of compounding. Conversely, if you get 1% worse each day, your skills will decline nearly to zero. This highlights the importance of focusing on small, positive actions. Each small action you take can either move you closer to your goals or further away from them. By focusing on small, positive actions, you can create a ripple effect that leads to significant improvements over time. Conversely, if you get 1% worse each day, your skills will decline nearly to zero. This highlights the importance of focusing on small, positive actions. Each small action you take can either move you closer to your goals or further away from them. By focusing on small, positive actions, you can create a ripple effect that leads to significant improvements over time. What starts as a small win or a minor setback accumulates into something much more significant. This principle holds true for your skills, your health, your relationships, and every other area of your life. By focusing on small, positive actions, you can create a ripple effect that leads to significant improvements over time. This approach is much more sustainable and effective than trying to make big changes all at once. This principle holds true for your skills, your health, your relationships, and every other area of your life. By focusing on small, positive actions, you can create a ripple effect that leads to significant improvements over time. This approach is much more sustainable and effective than trying to make big changes all at once. This approach fundamentally shifts the way we think about progress. We stop chasing massive, overnight transformations and start focusing on building better systems. By focusing on small, positive actions, we can create a ripple effect that leads to significant improvements over time. This approach is much more sustainable and effective than trying to make big changes all at once. We stop chasing massive, overnight transformations and start focusing on building better systems. By focusing on small, positive actions, we can create a ripple effect that leads to significant improvements over time. This approach is much more sustainable and effective than trying to make big changes all at once. We stop worrying about the finish line and start focusing on taking the next small step. By focusing on small, positive actions, we can create a ripple effect that leads to significant improvements over time. This approach is much more sustainable and effective than trying to make big changes all at once. An atomic habit is a regular practice or routine that is not only small and easy to do, but is also the source of incredible power, a component of the system of compound growth. By focusing on small positive actions, we can create a ripple effect that leads to significant improvements over time. This approach is much more sustainable and effective than trying to make big changes all at once. It is about making small, sustainable changes that you can stick with for the long haul, which is the only way to achieve lasting results. By focusing on small, positive actions, we can create a ripple effect that leads to significant improvements over time. This approach is much more sustainable and effective than trying to make big changes all at once. It can be difficult to believe that something as small as reading one page of a book or writing a single sentence in a journal could ever amount to anything significant. In a world that constantly celebrates grand gestures and overnight success, the idea that tiny, almost invisible actions could shape our lives feels counterintuitive. We're conditioned to look for dramatic changes, to expect that real progress must come from big, bold moves. But the truth is, the most profound transformations often begin with the smallest steps. Steps so subtle, they're easy to overlook or dismiss. Or consider doing just 2 push-ups a day. It sounds almost laughable. How could such a tiny effort possibly lead to a significant transformation? Yet, these small actions are the seeds from which lasting change grows. They are the quiet beginnings of a new story, the first brushstrokes on a blank canvas. When you start small, you lower the barrier to entry. You make it easy to show up, even on days when motivation is low or life feels overwhelming. And in that consistency, you plant the roots of real, sustainable progress. Our brains are wired to look for big payoffs and immediate gratification. We crave the dopamine rush that comes from instant results, and we're constantly bombarded by stories of people who seem to achieve greatness overnight. This makes it even harder to appreciate the value of small, incremental change. We want to see the fruits of our labor right away, to feel that our efforts are paying off in real time. But life rarely works that way. Most meaningful progress happens quietly, behind the scenes, long before anyone else notices. The idea of a small, incremental change just feels slow and honestly kind of unsatisfying. We're used to instant downloads, fast food, and next-day delivery. Waiting for results, especially when the changes are so subtle, can feel like watching paint dry. It's easy to get impatient, to wonder if these tiny efforts are even worth it. But this impatience is exactly what holds us back from experiencing the true power of small habits. We often undervalue the importance of these minor improvements because their immediate impact is, well, pretty negligible. It's easy to think, what difference does it make if I read 1 page or do 2 push-ups? The results are invisible at first, and so we dismiss them as unimportant. But what we fail to see is that every small action is a vote for the person we want to become. Each repetition, no matter how minor, is a step toward building a new identity. If you are out of shape and you go for one short walk, it might feel like nothing has changed. You return home, look in the mirror, and see the same reflection staring back at you. The scale doesn't budge, your clothes fit the same, and your energy levels might not feel any different. It's tempting to think that the effort was wasted, that you're no closer to your goal than you were before. You'll still be out of shape the next day. The change is not visible, so we lose motivation. This is the trap that catches so many of us. We expect instant feedback, and when we don't get it, we give up. But what we don't realize is that every walk, every push-up, every page read is a tiny deposit in the bank of self-improvement. The results may not show up right away, but they are accumulating, quietly and invisibly, beneath the surface. The change is not visible, so we lose motivation. We start to question whether our efforts are worth it, whether we're just spinning our wheels. But this is exactly when we need to keep going. The early stages of any habit are the hardest, not because the actions themselves are difficult, but because the results are hidden. It's like planting a seed and expecting a tree to appear overnight. Growth takes time, and patience is the key ingredient. The reason small habits make such a big difference is a principle called compounding. Compounding is the process by which small, consistent actions add up over time to create exponential results. It's the magic that turns a penny doubled every day into millions in a month, or a single seed into a towering tree. The effects of compounding are invisible at first, but over time they become impossible to ignore. You might be familiar with this idea from finance, where compound interest can turn a small initial investment into a fortune over time. The same principle applies to your habits. Every small action is like adding a little bit of principal to your investment. The more you add, the more your efforts grow, not just linearly, but exponentially. Where compound interest can turn a small initial investment into a fortune over time, the same logic applies to your habits. Each repetition, each small improvement, is like adding another coin to your jar. At first, the jar looks almost empty, but as the days and weeks go by, the coins begin to pile up. Eventually, you look back and realize just how far you've come, not because of one big deposit, but because of hundreds of tiny ones. The same logic applies to your habits. The effects of your habits multiply as you repeat them. Each day you show up, you reinforce the identity you're trying to build. You become the kind of person who reads, who exercises, who saves, who learns. Over time, these small actions compound, and the results become visible, not just to you, but to everyone around you. The effects of your habits multiply as you repeat them. Think of it like a row of dominoes. Each small action knocks over the next, creating a chain reaction of positive change. At first, the dominoes are tiny, but as you keep going, the momentum builds. Eventually, you're able to knock over much bigger obstacles with the same amount of effort. Each small improvement is like adding a little bit of principal to your investment. It may not seem like much in the moment, but over time, these small deposits add up. They create a foundation that supports bigger and bigger achievements. The key is to keep adding, even when it feels like nothing is happening. In the beginning, the growth is barely noticeable. It's like watching a plant grow or waiting for bread to rise. The changes are so subtle, you might wonder if anything is happening at all. But just because you can't see the progress doesn't mean it isn't there. Every day, you're building momentum, even if it's invisible to the naked eye. For weeks or even months, it may feel like you are not making any progress at all. You keep showing up, doing the work, but the results are slow to appear. This is the hardest part of building a new habit, the long, quiet stretch where it feels like nothing is changing. But this is also the most important part. It's where you build resilience, discipline, and trust in the process. This period where the results are not yet visible is what I call the plateau of latent potential. It's the stretch of time where your efforts are building up, just below the surface, waiting for the right moment to break through. Most people give up during this phase, convinced that their actions aren't making a difference. But if you can stick with it, you'll eventually reach a tipping point where everything changes. This is the phase where most people get discouraged and quit. They expect to see linear progress, where every bit of effort produces an immediate result. But real growth is rarely linear. It's more like a series of plateaus, punctuated by sudden bursts of progress. The key is to keep going, even when it feels like nothing is happening. They expect to see linear progress, where their effort directly and immediately translates into results. But the reality is that most progress is invisible at first. It's only after weeks or months of consistent effort that the results begin to show. This is why patience and persistence are so important, where their effort directly and immediately translates into results. But the real outcomes of our efforts are often delayed. The work you do today may not pay off until weeks, months, or even years down the line. This delay can be frustrating, but it's also what makes the eventual breakthrough so rewarding. But the real outcomes of our efforts are often delayed. It's like waiting for a seed to sprout or for bread to rise. The process is slow, but the results are worth the wait. Every day you show up, you're getting a little bit closer to your goal even if you can't see it yet. It is kind of like an ice cube in a room that is slowly warming up. For a long time, nothing seems to happen. The ice cube sits there, unchanged, even as the temperature rises degree by degree. But then, suddenly, at a certain point, everything changes. The ice begins to melt, and what seemed impossible just moments before becomes inevitable. From 25 degrees to 31 degrees, nothing seems to be happening. The ice cube remains solid, unchanged by the slow, steady increase. We have been taught to be goal-oriented. From the earliest days of our lives, whether in school, sports, or even at home, we are encouraged to set our sights on specific targets. Teachers ask us what we want to be when we grow up. Parents urge us to aim for the honor roll, to win the spelling bee, to make the varsity team. The message is clear: decide what you want and then go after it with everything you have. From a young age, we learn to set our sights on specific achievements: getting good grades, winning the championship, earning a gold star, or being recognized as the best in our class. These goals become milestones that mark our progress, and we are taught to measure our worth by how many of them we achieve. As we grow older, the goals change, but the pattern remains. Now it's about getting into a good college, landing a prestigious job, or buying a house. The stakes seem higher, but the underlying philosophy is the same: set a goal, work hard, and achieve it. This focus on goals is so ingrained in our culture that we rarely question it. It's everywhere, in motivational speeches, in self-help books, in the advice we give to friends and family. We celebrate those who set big goals and achieve them, and we often judge ourselves harshly when we fall short. We assume that setting a clear, ambitious goal is the most important prerequisite for success. We make vision boards, write down our goals, and break them into smaller steps. We believe that if we just want something badly enough, and if we keep our eyes on the prize, we'll eventually get there. While goals are good for setting a direction, they are only the starting point. They give us a sense of purpose and help us decide where to focus our energy. But the truth is, goals alone are not enough. They are like a compass pointing north, but they don't tell you how to take the journey, step by step, day by day. A laser focus on the goal itself can often be counterproductive and is not the most effective way to make progress. When we become obsessed with the end result, we can lose sight of the daily actions and habits that actually move us forward. We may even become discouraged if progress is slow or if setbacks occur because we are so fixated on the finish line. The first problem with a goals-first mentality is that winners and losers have the same goals. Think about it. Every athlete in a race wants to win. Every student taking an exam wants to get a high score. Every entrepreneur wants their business to succeed. The goal itself is not unique. As mentioned earlier, every Olympian wants the gold. They all train for years, dreaming of standing on the podium, hearing their national anthem play. But only a few actually achieve that dream. If everyone has the same goal, the goal cannot be what separates them. The difference between those who succeed and those who don't isn't the goal itself. It's something deeper, something more fundamental. The separation happens in the commitment to a system of continuous small improvements. It's the daily practice, the willingness to show up and do the work, even when it's hard or boring or inconvenient. It's the process of refining your skills, learning from your mistakes, and making tiny adjustments along the way. The winner is the one who showed up to practice on the cold, rainy days, the one who kept going when motivation faded, who found a way to keep moving forward even when progress was invisible, the one who didn't let setbacks or failures derail them, but instead used them as fuel to get better. The winner is the one who refined their technique through thousands of repetitions, who embraced the monotony of practice, knowing that mastery is built on a foundation of consistency, who understood that greatness is not a single moment of triumph, but the result of countless hours of unseen effort. They fell in love with the process, not just the prize. They found meaning and satisfaction in the daily grind, in the act of showing up and doing the work, regardless of the outcome. For them, the journey became as important as the destination. Their system made the difference. The routines, habits, and processes they built were what set them apart. The system is what allowed them to keep improving, to stay resilient in the face of challenges, and to ultimately achieve their goals. The second problem is that a goal is a momentary change. It's a temporary state, a fleeting victory. You reach the summit, but then what? The moment passes and life goes on. If your only focus is on achieving the goal, you may find yourself feeling empty or lost once it's accomplished. Imagine your room is messy, and your goal is to clean it. You look around and feel overwhelmed by the clutter, so you decide to tackle it all at once. You spend hours sorting, folding, and organizing until everything is in its place. You summon the energy and clean it. For a moment, you feel accomplished. The room looks great and you're proud of your effort. But what happens next? You have achieved your goal. The room is spotless and you can finally relax. But if you don't change your habits, if you don't have a system for keeping things tidy, the mess will slowly creep back in. But if you maintain the same sloppy habits that led to the messy room in the first place, you'll soon find yourself back where you started. The cycle repeats, and you're left wondering why it's so hard to keep things clean. You will soon be looking at a new mess and be back where you started. The problem wasn't the lack of effort or motivation, it was the lack of a system to maintain order over time. You are treating a symptom without addressing the cause. It's like taking medicine to reduce a fever without treating the underlying infection. The relief is temporary, and the problem will return unless you address the root cause. The goal was to clean the room, but what you really needed was a system of tidying up a little bit each day, a habit of putting things away as you use them, of spending a few minutes each morning or evening to keep things in order. Over time, this system makes the mess disappear, not just once but for good. Systems are about the ongoing process, not just the one-time achievement. They are the routines and habits that shape your daily life, the small actions that compound over time to create lasting change. When you focus on building a system, you create a foundation for continuous improvement, rather than a cycle of temporary fixes. Finally, goals can restrict your happiness. When you tie your sense of satisfaction to a specific outcome, you put your happiness on hold. You tell yourself, I'll be happy when I lose 10 pounds, when I get the promotion, when I finish the marathon. But what about all the days in between? The implicit assumption behind any goal is, once I reach my goal, then I will be happy. This mindset creates a constant sense of longing, of not being enough until you achieve what you set out to do. It can make the journey feel like a burden, rather than a source of joy. This mindset postpones happiness and satisfaction. You become so focused on the future that you forget to appreciate the present. You may even start to resent the process, seeing it as an obstacle to your happiness rather than the path to it. You are constantly living in a state of striving, of not quite enough. Each day feels like a test you have to pass, a hurdle you have to clear before you can finally relax and enjoy life. But the finish line keeps moving and satisfaction always seems just out of reach. And what happens when you do achieve the goal? For a brief moment, you feel a rush of pride and excitement. You celebrate your success, maybe even share it with others. But soon, the feeling fades, and you're left wondering, what's next? For a moment, you are happy, but then the feeling fades. The satisfaction is fleeting, and you may even feel a sense of emptiness or disappointment. The goal that once seemed so important now feels like just another item on a never-ending list, and you are left looking for the next goal to pursue. The cycle repeats, and you find yourself chasing one achievement after another, always hoping that the next one will finally bring lasting happiness. When you fall in love with the system, everything changes. You start to find joy in the daily rituals, in the small wins that come from sticking to your process. You realize that progress is not just about reaching the destination, but about growing and learning along the way. You don't have to wait to be happy. You can find satisfaction in the process itself, in the act of showing up and doing your best each day. The journey becomes its own reward, and you start to appreciate the beauty of steady, incremental progress. Systems allow you to measure your success by your commitment to the process, not just by the outcome. You can celebrate the fact that you showed up, that you made an effort, that you learned something new. This mindset shift can transform the way you approach challenges, making you more resilient and adaptable. When you focus on systems, you also become more open to feedback and growth. You see setbacks as opportunities to improve your process, rather than as failures. You become curious about what works and what doesn't, and you're willing to experiment and adjust as needed. This approach also helps you stay present and mindful. Instead of constantly worrying about the future or dwelling on the past, you can immerse yourself in the moment, fully engaged in whatever you're doing. This presence brings a sense of peace and fulfillment that goals alone can't provide. You can find satisfaction in the process itself. Progress becomes the reward. When you embrace systems, you unlock the power of consistent, meaningful action, and that is what leads to true, lasting success. In our lives, we are often taught to set our sights on a specific goal, to fix our gaze on a single point in the distance and pour all our energy into reaching it. This is what it means to be destination-focused. We imagine a finish line, a moment of triumph, a place where all our hard work will finally pay off. It's a mindset that's deeply ingrained in our culture, from the way we approach education and careers to how we think about health, relationships, and personal growth. We are told to define our goals as clearly as possible, to visualize the outcome, and to measure our progress by how close we are to that end point. We picture ourselves crossing a finish line, standing on a mountaintop, or arriving at a destination we've mapped out in advance. The image is clear. There is a specific place we want to arrive at, a finish line we want to cross, a box we want to check. This approach can be motivating, especially in the beginning. It gives us something to aim for, a reason to get started, and a way to measure our progress. But there's a hidden cost to this destination-oriented mindset. While it can provide clarity and a sense of purpose, it also creates a rigid framework for how we define success and failure. It's as if we're constantly keeping score, measuring ourselves against a single outcome. If we reach the goal exactly as we imagined, we declare ourselves a success. If we fall short in any way, we feel like we've failed. This binary way of thinking can be limiting and even damaging over time. The result is a kind of all-or-nothing mentality. Either you achieve the goal precisely as you defined it and you are a success, or you fall short in any way and you are a failure. There's no room for the gray areas, for the messy middle, for the small wins and lessons learned along the way. Every setback feels like a catastrophe. Every deviation from the plan feels like a personal shortcoming. This black and white thinking leaves very little room for nuance, learning, or partial victories along the way. It can make us feel like we're either on track or completely lost, with nothing in between. We become so focused on the end result that we overlook the value of the journey itself, the growth, the resilience, and the wisdom that come from navigating the twists and turns of life. But what if there's a better way? What if, instead of obsessing over a single destination, we shifted our focus to the direction we're heading? This is a more powerful and sustainable approach. When we focus on direction, we're not just chasing a finish line, we're choosing a path, a way of being, a set of values and habits that guide us every day. It's about the journey, not just the destination. Take health, for example. Instead of obsessing over whether you will lose exactly 20 pounds by a certain date, focus on the direction of becoming a healthier person. This means making choices each day that align with your values, choosing nourishing foods, moving your body, getting enough rest, and caring for your mental well-being. The number on the scale becomes less important than the overall trajectory of your life. Or consider your career. Instead of fixating on earning a six-figure salary or landing a specific job title, focus on the direction of building valuable skills, contributing meaningfully, and growing as a professional. This approach allows you to adapt to new opportunities, learn from setbacks, and find fulfillment in the process of becoming better at what you do. This change in perspective is subtle but profound. It shifts your attention from a single point in the future to the path you are walking right now. It invites you to be present, to notice the small steps you're taking, and to celebrate progress in all its forms. It's about moving forward, even if the pace is slow or the path is winding. When you focus on direction, you are no longer waiting for some distant moment to feel successful. You are living your values today, making choices that align with who you want to become. Every step forward, no matter how small, is a victory. The journey becomes a series of meaningful moments, each one contributing to your growth and fulfillment. When you focus on direction, every step forward counts as a win. You start to see progress everywhere, in the habits you build, the skills you develop, the relationships you nurture, and the challenges you overcome. Success is no longer a distant event. It's something you experience every day, in the choices you make and the actions you take. If your direction is to be a writer, then writing one sentence today is a success. It's a small step, but it's a step in the right direction. Over time, these small steps add up, and you find yourself becoming the person you set out to be. Not because you reached a specific destination, but because you stayed true to your chosen path. Each action you take, no matter how minor it may seem, is an action that aligns with your chosen path. It's a vote for the kind of person you want to become. This mindset frees you from the pressure of perfection and allows you to appreciate the process of growth. This makes it easier to stay motivated because you are not constantly judging yourself against a distant and intimidating finish line. Instead, you are focused on the present moment, on the progress you are making, and on the direction you are heading. Motivation becomes more sustainable because it's rooted in daily actions and ongoing growth, not just in the hope of a future reward. You are simply asking yourself, did my actions today move me in the right direction? This question is gentle, encouraging, and open-ended. It invites reflection, not judgment. It helps you notice the small wins, the lessons learned, and the ways you are growing, even when progress feels slow. This approach allows for flexibility and celebrates progress in all its forms, no matter how small. It recognizes that growth is not always linear, and that setbacks are a natural part of the journey. It encourages you to be kind to yourself, to acknowledge your efforts, and to keep moving forward, even when the path is difficult. Focusing on direction fosters a sense of continuous growth rather than a desperate sprint toward a single outcome. It helps you see life as an ongoing process of becoming, rather than a series of finish lines to be crossed. This mindset is especially important in a world that is constantly changing, where new challenges and opportunities arise every day. Furthermore, a focus on direction helps you handle setbacks more effectively. When you are committed to a direction, a setback is not a sign of failure. It's simply a part of the journey. You can adjust your course, learn from your mistakes, and keep moving forward with confidence. If your goal is the only thing that matters, any deviation from the plan feels like a catastrophe. You may feel discouraged, frustrated, or tempted to give up altogether. But when you focus on direction, you understand that detours and obstacles are inevitable. They are not the end of the road. They are simply opportunities to learn, grow, and adapt. But if your direction is what matters, a setback is just a detour, not a dead end. You can pause, reassess, and find a new way forward. The important thing is not how quickly you reach your destination, but that you keep moving in the direction that matters to you. You simply correct your course and keep moving forward. Each adjustment is a sign of resilience, not weakness. It's a reminder that growth is a journey, not a race, and that every step you take is valuable. The journey itself becomes the reward. You begin to find joy in the process, in the experiences you gather, the people you meet, and the person you become along the way. Life becomes richer, more meaningful, and more fulfilling when you focus on the path, not just the destination. You learn to enjoy the process of becoming, rather than constantly waiting for the moment of arrival. You discover that fulfillment comes not from reaching a single goal, but from living in alignment with your values, growing each day, and embracing the journey with curiosity and gratitude. This is the key to long-term success, because once you achieve one goal, your system and your direction will already be pointing you toward the next peak. Life is not a single summit to be conquered, but a series of adventures, each one building on the last. By focusing on direction, you ensure that you are always moving forward, always growing, and always ready for whatever comes next. So, as you reflect on your own journey, ask yourself, what direction am I heading in? Are my daily actions aligned with the person I want to become? Am I allowing myself to celebrate progress, learn from setbacks, and find joy in the process? Remember, it's not about reaching a single destination. It's about choosing a direction that inspires you and walking that path with intention, courage, and an open heart. Imagine you have a magic penny that doubles in value every day. At first, this might sound like a simple math trick, but let's pause for a moment and really think about what that means. Picture yourself holding that penny in your hand, feeling its small weight, and knowing that tomorrow it will be worth twice as much. It's easy to dismiss the idea as just a fun thought experiment, but the lesson it holds is profound. This magic penny is a metaphor for something much bigger than money. It's a symbol for the power of small, consistent actions repeated over time. On day 1, you have 1 cent. It's almost nothing, just a tiny coin, easily overlooked, easily lost in the couch cushions or the bottom of your pocket. But that's where the story begins. On day 2, you have 2 cents. Still, it's not much. You could hardly buy anything with it. Most people wouldn't even bother to pick up 2 pennies if they saw them on the street. On day 3, you have 4 cents. The growth is there, but it's so small, so subtle, that it's almost invisible. If you were tracking your progress, you might wonder if it's even worth the effort. For the first couple of weeks, the amount is so small you would barely notice it. Each day the pile grows, but it's still just a handful of coins. It's easy to feel like nothing is really happening, like your efforts are going unrewarded. After 2 weeks, you would only have about $81. That's more than you started with, but it's hardly life-changing. You might look at your growing pile and wonder if it's worth continuing. The temptation to give up is strong, especially when the results seem so modest. You might be tempted to give up, thinking this doubling penny is not very magical after all. The progress feels slow, almost painfully so. It's easy to become discouraged when you're putting in effort day after day and seeing only tiny gains. But if you stick with it, the power of compounding starts to take over. This is the moment when something remarkable begins to happen. The growth, which was once barely noticeable, starts to accelerate. The pile of coins grows faster and faster, and suddenly, the magic penny doesn't seem so ordinary anymore. By day 31, that single penny would have grown to over $10 million. It's almost impossible to believe, but the math checks out. What started as a single humble coin has become a mountain of wealth, all because of the relentless compounding effect of doubling every day. This is a dramatic illustration of the compounding effect, and the same principle applies to your daily habits. The actions you take each day, no matter how small, have the potential to multiply and grow into something extraordinary over time. Your daily actions are like that penny. Each one may seem insignificant on its own, but together, they have the power to transform your life. Every choice you make, every habit you build is a small investment in your future self. In the beginning, the results are small and unimpressive. You might not see any visible change. You might wonder if your efforts are making any difference at all. But just like the magic penny, the real magic is happening beneath the surface. A single workout won't make you fit. You won't see muscles appear overnight, and you won't feel dramatically healthier after just 1 session. But that first workout is the beginning of a journey, a small step that sets the stage for bigger changes to come. A single practice session won't make you a virtuoso. Mastery takes time, patience, and repetition. The first time you pick up an instrument, you might struggle to play even a simple note. But with each practice, you get a little better, and those small improvements add up. A single page read won't make you a genius. Knowledge is built 1 page, 1 idea at a time. The first page might not change your life, but it's the first step on a path to wisdom and understanding. It is easy to get discouraged during this early phase because the rewards for your efforts are not immediately apparent. You might feel like you're working hard for nothing, like your time and energy are being wasted. But this is the critical moment, the moment when most people give up, never realizing how close they are to a breakthrough. We live in a world that craves instant gratification, and the slow march of compounding can feel frustrating. We're used to quick results, fast food, instant messages, and overnight shipping. But real lasting change doesn't happen overnight. It takes time, patience, and persistence. The key is to have faith in the process and to understand that the greatest rewards are delayed. The most valuable things in life, health, knowledge, relationships, personal growth, are built slowly, 1 day at a time. They require you to trust that your efforts will pay off, even when you can't see the results right away. Your habits need time to accumulate and build on one another. Each small action is like a brick in a wall, a drop in a bucket, a seed in a garden. Over time, these small contributions add up to something much greater than the sum of their parts. Each time you perform a good habit, you are making a small deposit into your personal growth account. These deposits might seem insignificant at first, but they are the foundation of your future success. Every workout, every page read, every healthy meal, every act of kindness, they all count. For a long time, the balance may not seem to be growing much. You might check your progress and feel disappointed. But remember, the magic of compounding is working quietly in the background. multiplying your efforts in ways you can't yet see. But behind the scenes, the interest is compounding. Every small action is building momentum, creating a snowball effect that will eventually become unstoppable. The results may be invisible for a while, but they are growing, day by day. The skills you are building, the knowledge you are acquiring, and the health you are cultivating are all growing exponentially, even if you cannot see it yet. Every repetition, every lesson, every healthy choice is an investment in your future self, a future that is shaped by the habits you practice today. This is why consistency is far more important than intensity. It's not about making a huge effort once and then stopping. It's about showing up, day after day, and doing the work, even when you don't feel like it. Consistency is the secret ingredient that turns small actions into big results. A massive, heroic effort that you only perform once will not lead to lasting change. It might feel good in the moment, but it won't create the kind of transformation you're looking for. Real change comes from the small, steady actions you repeat over time. It is the small, sustainable actions that you perform consistently over a long period that will ultimately deliver remarkable results. These are the habits that become part of who you are, the routines that shape your identity and your future. It is better to do a little bit every day than to do a lot once in a while. The small daily actions are the ones that stick, the ones that build momentum, the ones that lead to lasting change. By embracing the slow, steady power of compounding, you can turn your small daily actions into a force that will reshape your life in ways you can hardly imagine today. The journey may be long and the progress may be slow at first, but if you stay the course, the results will be extraordinary. Remember, every great achievement begins with a single step, a single penny, a single action. The compounding effect is always at work, quietly, patiently, and relentlessly, waiting for you to believe in it and to keep moving forward, one day at a time. When we talk about changing our lives, most of us think about the visible results, the things we can measure, the goals we can check off, the milestones we can celebrate. But beneath every visible change lies a deeper, often invisible transformation. Imagine an iceberg floating in the ocean. What you see above the water is just a tiny fraction of its true size. The real mass, the foundation that supports everything above, lies hidden beneath the surface. In the same way, lasting change in our lives is built on layers that go much deeper than what we show to the world. There are 3 fundamental layers to behavior change. The first is a change in your outcomes. These are the results you want to achieve, the goals you set for yourself, the external markers of progress. The second layer is a change in your processes. These are the habits, routines, and systems you put in place to move toward your goals. The third and deepest layer is a change in your identity. This is about what you believe about yourself, the kind of person you see yourself as, and the values you hold. Most people, when they set out to improve themselves, start with the first layer. They focus on outcomes. They say, I want to lose weight, or I want to write a book, or I want to run a marathon. These are all admirable goals, but they are just the tip of the iceberg. They are the visible part of change, the part that everyone can see. For example, someone might step on a scale and decide they want to see a lower number. Or they might look at their bookshelf and wish to see a book with their name on the spine. These are outcome-based goals, and they are where most journeys begin. To reach these goals, people often turn to the second layer, process. They start researching diets, exercise routines, or writing schedules. They make plans, set up systems, and try to follow step-by-step instructions. They might join a gym, buy a planner, or download an app to track their progress. They set goals, break them down into actionable steps, and try to figure out the best process to get from where they are to where they want to be. This approach can be effective, at least for a while. It gives you a roadmap, a sense of direction, and a way to measure progress. But all too often, these changes don't last. The new habits fade, the motivation wanes, and people find themselves slipping back into old patterns. The reason is that focusing only on outcomes and processes addresses the surface, but not the foundation. It's like trying to change the shape of an iceberg by chipping away at the tip, while ignoring the massive structure below the waterline. The deepest layer, the one that truly determines whether change will stick, is your identity. This is the bedrock of lasting change. Your identity is the set of beliefs you hold about yourself. It's your self-image, your worldview, and the story you tell yourself about who you are and what you're capable of. If you see yourself as someone who is always struggling with their weight, no amount of dieting will create lasting change. If you believe you're not a real writer, it will be hard to keep up the habit of writing, no matter how many productivity hacks you try. Your identity shapes your behavior at the deepest level. Think about the stories you tell yourself. Maybe you remember being the shy kid in school, or the class clown, or the athlete. These labels, whether given to us by others or adopted ourselves, become part of our identity. They influence the choices we make, the risks we take, and the habits we form. Over time, they become self-fulfilling prophecies. True, lasting behavior change is not just about what you do, but about who you believe you are. When you shift your identity, your actions naturally follow. The goal is not just to read a book. The goal is to become a reader. The goal is not just to run a marathon. The goal is to become a runner. The goal is not just to learn an instrument. The goal is to become a musician. When you identify as a reader, picking up a book becomes second nature. You don't have to force yourself to read. It's simply what you do, because it's who you are. The same is true for any habit. When your actions are aligned with your identity, they become effortless, automatic, and sustainable. Imagine the difference between someone who says, "I'm trying to read more," and someone who says, "I'm a reader." The first is focused on the outcome, the second on the identity. The first is making an effort to change, the second has already become the change. The same principle applies to running. If you see yourself as someone who is trying to get in shape, you might go for a run when you feel motivated. But if you see yourself as a runner, lacing up your shoes and hitting the pavement becomes part of your routine, even on days when motivation is low. The difference is subtle but profound. When your habits are tied to your identity, they are no longer something you have to do. They are simply a reflection of who you are. This is the secret to making habits stick for the long term. Consider the musician who practices every day, not because they are forced to, but because playing music is part of their identity. Or the healthy eater who chooses a salad over fast food, not because they are on a diet, but because they see themselves as a healthy person. When you become the kind of person who does the things you want to do, you no longer have to rely on willpower or motivation. Your actions flow naturally from your sense of self. This is why so many people struggle to stick with new habits. They focus on what they want to achieve or how they plan to achieve it, but they never address the question of who they want to become. They try to change their behavior without changing their identity, and eventually, their old self-image pulls them back to their old ways. To create lasting change, you have to start from the inside out. You have to ask yourself, who is the type of person that could achieve the results I want? And then begin to act as if you are already that person. Every small action you take is a vote for the kind of person you wish to become. Over time, these votes add up. They reinforce your new identity, making it stronger and more resilient. Eventually, your habits become a natural extension of who you are, rather than something you have to force yourself to do. When you focus on identity, the motivation for change becomes intrinsic. You are no longer pushing yourself to do something you don't want to do. You are simply acting in alignment with the type of person you believe yourself to be. This shift from extrinsic to intrinsic motivation is powerful. When your actions are driven by your sense of self, they become sustainable. You don't have to constantly remind yourself to make healthy choices or stick to your routines. You do them because they are part of your identity. For example, a person who identifies as a healthy eater doesn't have to convince themselves to choose a salad over a burger. It's simply what they do, because it's who they are. The same goes for exercise, reading, writing, or any other habit you want to build. When your identity is aligned with your actions, you experience a sense of harmony and authenticity. You feel good about yourself because your behavior matches your values and beliefs. This is why identity-based habits are so powerful. They don't just change what you do, they change who you are. And when you change who you are, you change your life in ways that go far beyond any single goal or outcome. Think about the difference between someone who is on a diet and someone who is a healthy person. The first is temporary, the second is permanent. The first requires constant effort and willpower. The second is effortless and automatic. When you see yourself as a healthy person, you naturally make choices that support your health. You don't have to force yourself to go for a walk or eat a salad. It's simply what you do. This is the key to making habits stick for the long run. When your habits are a reflection of your identity, they become part of your daily life, rather than something you have to remember or struggle to maintain. Building habits from the inside out means starting with your identity, then letting your processes and outcomes flow naturally from there. Instead of asking, "What do I want to achieve?" ask, "Who do I want to become?" The process of change, then, is not about achieving a specific goal, but about becoming the kind of person who can achieve any goal you set your mind to. It's about building a new identity, one small action at a time. So instead of starting with what you want to achieve, start with who you want to become. Ask yourself, what kind of person would achieve the results I desire? And then begin to act as if you are already that person. Reflect on your values, your principles, and the qualities you admire in others. What kind of person do you wish to be? What are the beliefs and habits that define that person? Take time to journal, meditate, or simply sit in quiet reflection. The more clarity you have about your desired identity, the easier it becomes to make choices that align with it. Identify the principles and values you want to live by. Maybe you want to be someone who is disciplined, compassionate, creative, or resilient. Whatever it is, define it clearly for yourself. Once you have a clear sense of your desired identity, you can begin to ask yourself, what would a person like this do? This question becomes your guide for making decisions, big and small. Every choice you make is an opportunity to reinforce your new identity. Each time you act in alignment with the person you want to become, you cast a vote for that identity. Over time, these votes accumulate, and your new identity becomes stronger and more deeply rooted. Think of each small habit as a vote for your new self. You don't have to be perfect. You don't have to win every vote, but the more votes you cast, the more you reinforce your new identity. For example, every time you sit down to write, even if it's just a single sentence, you are casting a vote for being a writer. Every time you go for a walk, you are casting a vote for being an active person. These small actions may seem insignificant in the moment, but over time, they add up to something powerful. They become the foundation of your new identity. This is how you build a new identity, one small action at a time, one day at a time, one vote at a time. The process is gradual, but the results are profound. In the end, the bedrock of lasting change is not a new goal or a new process, but a new identity. When you become the kind of person who does the things you want to do, change becomes inevitable. It becomes who you are. The idea of changing your identity can sound big and intimidating. It's a concept that often feels overwhelming, as if you're being asked to completely reinvent yourself overnight. Many of us imagine that becoming a new person requires a dramatic transformation, a sudden shift where you wake up one morning and everything about you is different. But the truth is, change rarely happens in a single sweeping moment. Instead, it unfolds gradually, through a series of small, intentional steps that accumulate over time. The journey to becoming the person you want to be is not about erasing who you are, but about building upon your existing foundation, one brick at a time. How can you simply decide to become a new person? This question lingers in the minds of many who feel stuck or dissatisfied with their current selves. It's natural to wonder if it's even possible to change, or if we're destined to remain the same, repeating old patterns. But what if the process of transformation is less about making a single, life-altering decision, and more about making a series of small choices, day after day? What if becoming the person you want to be is not about flipping a switch, but about turning a dial, slowly and steadily, until you find yourself living in alignment with your deepest values and aspirations? The process is actually much simpler and more practical than it sounds. It doesn't require a complete overhaul of your life or a grand gesture of reinvention. Instead, it's about identifying the small, manageable actions that, when repeated consistently, begin to shift your sense of self. These actions are like seeds planted in the soil of your daily routine. With patience and care, they grow into habits, and those habits in turn shape your identity. The key is to focus on what you can control in the present moment, rather than worrying about the enormity of the change you hope to achieve. Your identity emerges out of your habits. The things you do every day, often without even thinking, are the building blocks of who you are. Each repeated action is like a thread woven into the fabric of your character. Over time, these threads create patterns that define how you see yourself and how others perceive you. If you want to change your identity, you don't need to start with your beliefs or your self-image. Instead, start with your actions. Let your habits lead the way, and your identity will follow. You are not born with a preset collection of beliefs. No one arrives in this world with a fully formed identity or a fixed set of values. Instead, we are shaped by our environment, our experiences, and the choices we make along the way. From the moment we take our first breath, we begin to absorb the world around us, learning from our families, our communities, and our own successes and failures. Our beliefs are not static. They evolve as we grow, adapt, and encounter new perspectives. You adopt them over time based on your experiences and actions. Every decision you make, every challenge you face, and every habit you form contributes to the story you tell yourself about who you are. Sometimes, these beliefs serve us well, giving us confidence and direction. Other times, they hold us back, keeping us stuck in patterns that no longer fit. The good news is that you have the power to rewrite your story, one chapter at a time, by choosing new actions that align with the person you want to become. Every action you take is a piece of evidence that shapes your self-image. Think of your identity as a puzzle, with each habit or behavior representing a single piece. The more pieces you add, the clearer the picture becomes. If you consistently act in ways that reflect your desired identity, you begin to see yourself differently. You start to believe that you are, in fact, the kind of person who does those things. This is the foundation of lasting change. Not wishful thinking, but tangible proof, gathered one action at a time. If you go to church every Sunday for 20 years, you believe you are religious. It's not just the act of attending services that matters. It's the consistency, the ritual, the way this habit becomes woven into the fabric of your life. Over time, these repeated actions reinforce your sense of belonging and identity. You don't have to convince yourself that you are religious. Your actions speak for themselves, and your beliefs naturally follow. If you study biology every night, you believe you are studious. The simple act of sitting down with your books, night after night, sends a powerful message to your subconscious. I am someone who values learning. I am committed to growth. Over time, this identity becomes a source of pride and motivation, fueling your desire to continue the habit. The more you act in alignment with your chosen identity, the stronger it becomes. This means you can choose your new identity and then prove it to yourself with small wins. You don't have to wait for permission or for some external event to signal that you're ready. The power to change is already in your hands. By setting clear intentions and following through with consistent action, you begin to accumulate evidence that supports your new self-image. Each small win is a vote for the person you want to become, and over time, these votes add up to real, lasting change. The process is simple. First, decide the type of person you want to be. This step is about clarity and intention. Take some time to reflect on your values, your dreams, and the qualities you admire in others. Ask yourself, who do I want to become? What kind of person would I be proud to be? Write down your answers and let them guide your actions moving forward. Remember, you don't have to have all the answers right away. The important thing is to start with a clear vision, even if it's just a rough outline. Second, prove it to yourself with small, consistent actions. Don't underestimate the power of tiny habits. Even the smallest action, when repeated regularly, can have a profound impact on your identity. The goal is not to achieve perfection, but to build momentum. Each time you follow through on your commitment, you reinforce your belief in your ability to change. Over time, these small actions become second nature and your new identity takes root. Let's say you want to become a tidy person. Maybe you've struggled with clutter in the past and you're tired of feeling overwhelmed by your environment. You might be tempted to tackle the entire problem at once, but lasting change rarely comes from grand gestures. Instead, it's the small, sustainable habits that make the biggest difference. Start by imagining what a tidy person does each day. How do they approach their space? What routines do they follow? Don't start by trying to overhaul your entire house in one weekend. That approach is likely to leave you exhausted and frustrated, and it rarely leads to lasting change. Instead, focus on one small area, one manageable task that you can complete with confidence. The goal is to create a sense of progress, not perfection. By breaking the process down into bite-sized steps, you make it easier to stay motivated and avoid burnout. Start with a small, identity-affirming habit. Choose something that feels easy and achievable, but that also aligns with the person you want to become. For example, making your bed each morning is a simple act that signals your commitment to tidiness. It's a small win that sets a positive tone for the rest of your day. Over time, these small wins add up, creating a ripple effect that extends to other areas of your life. The habit could be, make my bed every morning. This action is simple, manageable, and takes less than 2 minutes to complete. It doesn't require special skills or equipment, just a willingness to show up for yourself each day. By choosing a habit that is easy to maintain, you increase your chances of success and build confidence in your ability to follow through. This action is small, manageable, and takes less than 2 minutes to complete. The beauty of starting small is that it removes the barriers to action. You don't have to wait for the perfect moment or muster up a huge amount of motivation. Instead, you simply do the thing day after day until it becomes a natural part of your routine. The consistency is what matters most, not the size of the action. Each time you make your bed, you are casting a vote for your new identity. You are telling yourself, through your actions, that you are the kind of person who values order and cleanliness. These small acts of self-care are powerful. They build self-trust and reinforce your commitment to change. Over time, these votes accumulate, tipping the scales in favor of your new identity. You are providing evidence to your brain that you are, in fact, a tidy person. This evidence is more convincing than any affirmation or wishful thinking. When you see the results of your actions, an organized room, a made bed, a sense of calm, you begin to internalize the belief that you are capable of change. This belief fuels further action, creating a positive feedback loop that propels you forward. One day of making your bed doesn't change your identity. Real transformation takes time and repetition. It's easy to get discouraged if you don't see immediate results, but remember that every journey begins with a single step. The key is to keep going, even when progress feels slow. Each day you show up for yourself, you are moving closer to your goal. But a week of making your bed starts to build a little bit of momentum. You begin to notice the difference not just in your environment, but in your mindset. The act of following through on your commitment day after day creates a sense of accomplishment and pride. This momentum makes it easier to stick with the habit, even when motivation wanes. A month of making your bed starts to feel normal. What once felt like a chore becomes a natural part of your routine. You no longer have to think about it or force yourself to take action. It just happens, almost automatically. This is the power of habit. It frees up mental energy and makes positive behaviors effortless. After a year, making your bed is an automatic part of who you are. It's no longer something you have to remind yourself to do. It's simply what you do, because it's who you are. This is the essence of identity-based change. Your habits become a reflection of your values, and your values become a reflection of your habits. It is a habit that reinforces your identity as a tidy person, which in turn makes it easier to adopt other tidy habits. Once you see yourself as someone who values order, you're more likely to extend that mindset to other areas of your life. You might start organizing your closet, keeping your desk clear, or developing routines for staying on top of chores. Each new habit builds on the last, creating a cascade of positive change. When we think about progress, most of us picture a simple, straight line moving steadily upward. It's a comforting image, a clean, predictable path from where we are now to where we want to be. This idea is everywhere, in school, at work, in fitness, and even in our personal growth. We're taught to believe that if we just put in the effort, we'll see results right away, and those results will keep coming, step by step, day by day. It's a story we tell ourselves because it feels logical and fair. If you work hard, you should get better, right? But the reality is far more complex, and understanding this complexity is crucial if you want to achieve anything meaningful. We pour our energy into our goals. We show up early, stay late, and push ourselves to do just a little bit more each day. Whether it's learning a new skill, building a business, or trying to get healthier, we expect that our dedication will be rewarded with visible, measurable progress. We track our habits, count our steps, measure our results, and look for signs that we're moving forward. And when we don't see those signs, it can feel like all our effort is going to waste. It's easy to get discouraged when the results don't match our expectations. Maybe you've been working out for weeks, but the scale hasn't budged. Or you've been practicing a new language, but you still stumble over basic phrases. Or you've been writing every day, but your words don't seem to flow any easier. In these moments, frustration creeps in. We start to question ourselves, our methods, and even our goals. We wonder if we're wasting our time or if we're just not cut out for this after all. Sometimes it feels like we're stuck on a plateau, or worse, sliding backward. The progress chart we imagined in our minds, a smooth upward climb, suddenly looks jagged with dips and flat spots. We might even see a drop in performance, a setback that makes us feel like we're losing ground. It's a tough pill to swallow, especially when we've been giving it our all. In these low moments, the temptation to quit can be overwhelming. We start to believe that our efforts are pointless, that we're not making any difference, and that maybe we should just give up. It's a natural reaction. Nobody likes to feel stuck or to see their hard work go unrewarded. But this is where most people make a critical mistake. They misunderstand what progress really looks like. This misunderstanding is one of the biggest reasons why people abandon their goals and give up on their habits before they ever see real results. We expect progress to be obvious and immediate, but in reality, it's often subtle and delayed. We want instant feedback, but the most meaningful changes happen slowly, beneath the surface, where we can't see them. The truth is, progress is rarely a straight line. It's almost never smooth or predictable. Instead, it's messy, uneven, and full of unexpected twists and turns. There are days when everything clicks and you feel unstoppable, and there are days when nothing seems to work, no matter how hard you try. Sometimes you'll make a leap forward, and other times you'll feel like you're standing still, or even moving backward. Progress often feels like wandering through a foggy landscape, where the path ahead is hidden and every step forward is uncertain. You might walk for miles without seeing any sign that you're getting closer to your destination. The journey can be long and lonely, and it's easy to lose faith when you can't see the results of your efforts right away. But just because you can't see progress doesn't mean it isn't happening. To understand this better, let's look at the story of the bamboo tree. The bamboo is a remarkable plant, and its growth process holds a powerful lesson for anyone striving to improve themselves. When you plant a bamboo seed, you water it and care for it every single day. For the first year, nothing seems to happen. The second year comes and goes, and still, there's almost no visible growth above the ground. The third year, the fourth year, still nothing. Imagine how discouraging that must feel. You're putting in all this effort day after day, and you have nothing to show for it. Most people would give up long before the fifth year arrives. It's easy to look at the empty patch of dirt and think, what's the point? The gardener might feel foolish tending to soil that never seems to change. Friends and neighbors might question their persistence, wondering why they keep working so hard for no visible reward. But what they can't see is what's happening beneath the surface. All this time, the bamboo is busy building a vast, intricate root system underground. It's laying the foundation for explosive growth, even though there's nothing to show for it above the surface. The roots are spreading wide and deep, anchoring the plant and preparing it to support the incredible growth that's about to come. Then, in the fifth year, something amazing happens. The bamboo suddenly shoots up, growing as much as 90 feet in just 6 weeks. It seems like an overnight success, but in reality, that rapid growth was only possible because of the years of unseen work that came before it. Your own journey of self-improvement is a lot like that bamboo tree. The early stages are all about building your foundation, developing habits, learning new skills, and strengthening your mindset. Most of this work happens out of sight, with little to show for it at first. But just because you can't see the results doesn't mean you're not making progress. Every time you show up, every time you practice, every time you push through a tough day, you're adding another brick to your foundation. You're building the root system that will eventually support your breakthrough. It's not glamorous and it's not always rewarding in the moment, but it's absolutely essential. Think about the skills you're developing, the knowledge you're gaining, and the resilience you're building. These are the invisible assets that will pay off in the long run. Even if you can't see the results yet, you're becoming the kind of person who can achieve your goals. You're learning to trust the process, to keep going even when it feels like nothing is happening. This is what's known as the plateau of latent potential. It's the long, flat stretch where progress seems to stall. But beneath the surface, important changes are taking place. It's a test of your patience and your faith in the process. The breakthrough comes only after you've put in the work, day after day, even when you can't see the payoff. It's like the moment when the sun finally breaks through the fog, or when a seed finally sprouts after weeks of waiting. The growth was happening all along, it just wasn't visible yet. Think of your efforts as water filling a reservoir. Each drop might seem insignificant on its own, but over time, the reservoir fills up. Eventually, it reaches a tipping point, and all that stored energy is released in a surge of progress. The work you're doing isn't wasted, it's being stored, building up until the moment when it all comes together. And when that moment comes, it can feel like everything changes overnight. Suddenly, you're making rapid progress, achieving things that once seemed impossible. But remember, the real work happened long before the breakthrough. It was the years of quiet effort, the daily habits, and the persistence through setbacks that made it possible. Understanding this simple truth can transform the way you approach your goals. Instead of getting discouraged by slow progress, you learn to appreciate the process. You realize that every small action, every tiny improvement, is part of a much bigger picture. You start to see setbacks not as failures, but as necessary steps on the path to success. This perspective gives you the patience to persist through the plateaus. You stop looking for instant results and start focusing on the long game. You understand that real growth takes time, and that the most important changes are often the ones you can't see. Setbacks become opportunities to learn and grow. When you stumble, you don't give up. You adjust your approach, learn from your mistakes, and keep moving forward. You realize that every challenge is a chance to build resilience and character. The key is to focus on the process, not just the outcome. Water your bamboo every day, even when you can't see any growth. Trust that your efforts are making a difference, even if the results aren't visible yet. Don't dig up the plant to check on its roots, just keep nurturing it, and let the process unfold in its own time. Progress isn't about avoiding the dips or skipping the plateaus. It's about having a system that allows you to keep going day after day, trusting that your consistent efforts will eventually lead to the breakthrough you seek. The journey may be long and the path may be winding, but every step you take brings you closer to your goal. So keep going, keep growing, and remember, the simple truth about progress is that it's happening even when you can't see it. When we talk about building better habits, it's easy to focus on the end result, the big goal, the finish line, the moment of achievement. But the ultimate goal of building better habits is not to achieve a single goal or to check off a box on a to-do list. It's not about reaching one destination and then stopping, satisfied that you've arrived. Instead, the real purpose of cultivating good habits is to create a foundation for ongoing growth, a system that supports you in becoming a better version of yourself day after day, year after year. Think of it this way. The goal is to create a system that allows for continuous improvement for the rest of your life. Just as the seasons change and nature is always in motion, your personal development should be a living, breathing process. Habits are not just tools for achieving one-off successes. They are the architecture of your daily life, the invisible scaffolding that supports your growth. When you focus on the system rather than the single outcome, you set yourself up for a lifetime of progress. Imagine becoming the type of person who is always learning, always growing, and always getting a little bit better. This isn't about perfection or relentless self-criticism. It's about embracing the idea that you are a work in progress and that every day offers a new opportunity to learn something, to improve a skill, or to deepen your understanding. Whether you're reading a book, taking notes in a class, or picking up a new hobby later in life, you're embodying the spirit of continuous improvement. This is really the mindset of a true master in any field. Masters, whether they are athletes, artists, musicians, or scientists, never see themselves as finished products. They understand that mastery is not a destination, but a journey. They know that every practice session, every brushstroke, every rehearsal is a chance to refine their craft, to push their limits, and to discover something new about themselves and their abilities. Even after achieving remarkable success, true masters don't rest on their laurels. They don't become complacent or assume they've learned everything there is to know. Instead, they remain humble and curious, always looking for ways to improve. They reflect on their performances, analyze what went well and what could be better, and use every experience as fuel for further growth. This attitude is what separates those who plateau from those who continue to rise. Masters remain students of their craft, constantly seeking feedback, experimenting with new techniques, and pushing their own boundaries. Whether it's a craftsman perfecting a new design, a chef trying out a new recipe, or a teacher finding better ways to reach students, the pursuit of improvement never ends. To unlock this door to continuous improvement, you need to fall in love with the process of practice and refinement. It's not enough to simply want the results. You have to enjoy the journey. The act of showing up, putting in the work, and making small adjustments along the way becomes its own reward. Like a potter shaping clay or a runner lacing up their shoes before dawn, the process itself is where the magic happens. You have to enjoy the challenge of getting just 1% better each day. Progress doesn't always come in dramatic leaps. More often, it's the result of tiny, almost imperceptible improvements that add up over time. Completing a small task, learning a new fact, or making a slight tweak to your routine might not seem like much in the moment, but these small wins compound, creating a powerful momentum that propels you forward. This requires a shift from a fixed mindset to a growth mindset. A fixed mindset tells you that your abilities are set in stone, that you're either good at something or you're not. But a growth mindset opens the door to possibility. It encourages you to see every challenge as a chance to learn, every mistake as a lesson, and every setback as a stepping stone to future success. A fixed mindset believes that your abilities are innate and unchangeable. It whispers that you're either born with talent or you're not, and that effort is pointless if you don't see immediate results. This mindset can be paralyzing, making you afraid to try new things or to risk failure. A growth mindset, on the other hand, believes that your abilities can be developed through dedication and hard work. It recognizes that talent is just the starting point, and that true achievement comes from perseverance, resilience, and a willingness to learn. With a growth mindset, you see effort as the path to mastery, and you welcome challenges as opportunities to stretch yourself. With a growth mindset, you see challenges as opportunities to grow, not as threats to your ego. You become more resilient in the face of setbacks, more creative in solving problems, and more open to feedback. Every obstacle becomes a chance to build new skills and to prove to yourself that you are capable of more than you once believed. One of the most practical ways to foster this mindset is to implement a system of reflection and review. This doesn't have to be complicated or time-consuming. It can be as simple as taking a few minutes at the end of each day, week, or month to look back on your progress, to celebrate your wins, and to identify areas for improvement. At the end of each week or month, just take a few moments to look back on your progress. What went well? What did you accomplish that you're proud of? Where did you struggle? And what can you learn from those experiences? This simple act of reflection helps you stay connected to your goals and ensures that you're moving in the right direction. What didn't go as planned? What did you learn? By asking yourself these questions, you turn every experience, good or bad, into a valuable lesson. You become your own coach, guiding yourself with honesty and compassion, and using each reflection as a stepping stone toward greater growth. This simple habit of self-reflection is really crucial for making adjustments and ensuring you stay on the right path. It's easy to get caught up in the busyness of daily life and to lose sight of your bigger goals. Regular reflection acts as a compass, helping you course correct when you drift off track and reminding you of the progress you've already made. It prevents you from blindly repeating the same actions without considering if they are still effective. Sometimes what worked in the past may no longer serve you, and it's only through reflection that you can identify these patterns and make the necessary changes. This willingness to adapt is at the heart of continuous improvement. It's the mechanism that allows you to consciously guide your own evolution. Instead of leaving your growth to chance, you take an active role in shaping your future. You become the architect of your own development, designing systems and routines that support your goals and values. Ultimately, the journey of continuous improvement is infinite. There is no final destination, no point at which you can say, "I've made it, and now I can stop." Life is a never-ending road, stretching out before you, full of new challenges, new opportunities, and new horizons to explore. There is no finish line. The pursuit of growth is a lifelong adventure, and the only limits are the ones you set for yourself. Every time you reach a new milestone, you'll find another one waiting just beyond it, inviting you to keep going, to keep learning, and to keep growing. There is always another level to reach, another skill to master, another way to grow. Whether you're climbing a mountain, learning a new song, or starting a new project, the process of improvement never truly ends. Each achievement opens the door to new possibilities, and each challenge is an invitation to become more than you were yesterday. Now, this might sound exhausting, but honestly, it's actually the source of deep and lasting fulfillment. The joy of life doesn't come from reaching a final destination, but from the journey itself, the daily act of striving, learning, and growing alongside others. The relationships you build, the memories you create, and the person you become along the way are the true rewards of continuous improvement. It's the pursuit itself that brings joy. The satisfaction of making progress, no matter how small, is a powerful motivator. Celebrating your wins, embracing your setbacks, and finding meaning in the process transforms the act of improvement from a chore into a source of happiness and pride. By building a system of atomic habits, you aren't just working toward a goal, you're building a machine for personal growth. Each habit is like a gear in a larger mechanism, working together to move you forward. Over time, these small actions create a powerful engine for change, one that can carry you through any challenge and help you achieve things you once thought impossible. You are unlocking the door to a lifetime of progress, and that is a far more exciting and rewarding endeavor than any single achievement. The real treasure lies not in the trophies you collect, but in the person you become through the process of continuous improvement. So embrace the journey, trust the process, and remember, every day is a new opportunity to unlock your potential and take another step forward on the path of lifelong growth. Motivation is a powerful but unreliable tool. It's the initial jolt of energy that can make us feel unstoppable, like we're ready to take on any challenge that comes our way. But as anyone who's ever set a New Year's resolution knows, that feeling rarely lasts. Motivation is like a spark, bright and exciting, but quick to fade if it isn't nurtured or supported by something more substantial. We often find ourselves waiting for motivation to strike, hoping that the right mood or the perfect moment will arrive and propel us into action. But the truth is, motivation is unpredictable. It can be influenced by our mood, our environment, even the weather outside, or a random comment from a friend. One day, you might wake up feeling inspired and ready to tackle your goals, and the next you might struggle just to get out of bed. This inconsistency makes motivation a poor foundation for lasting change. It's the spark that often gets us started on a new path. Maybe you felt it after watching a moving story or hearing about someone else's success. That surge of energy can be exhilarating, and it's often the reason we decide to make a change in the first place. It's the reason we sign up for a gym membership, buy a new journal, or promise ourselves that this time, things will be different. In those moments, everything seems possible. The world feels full of opportunity, and we're convinced that we're finally ready to become the person we want to be. We watch an inspiring documentary or read a powerful book, and suddenly we feel a surge of energy to change our lives. Maybe it's a story of someone overcoming adversity, or a book that lays out a clear path to success. These experiences can light a fire within us, making us believe that we too can achieve great things. We start to imagine what our lives could look like if we just put in the effort. We picture ourselves healthier, happier, more productive, or more fulfilled. For a brief moment, it feels like nothing can stop us. We feel like we can conquer the world. The possibilities seem endless, and our confidence soars. We're ready to take on new challenges, break old habits, and build a better future for ourselves. In these moments, motivation feels like a superpower. It's as if we've tapped into a hidden reservoir of strength and determination that will carry us through any obstacle. This feeling is wonderful, but well, it's also fleeting. The initial excitement fades, sometimes in a matter of hours or days. Life gets busy, distractions creep in, and the challenges we face start to feel overwhelming again. The same energy that once felt limitless now seems to evaporate, leaving us wondering where it went. We might even feel disappointed in ourselves for not being able to sustain that high level of motivation. Motivation comes and goes like the weather. Some days it's bright and sunny, and we feel ready to take on the world. Other days it's cloudy and gray, and even the simplest tasks feel like a struggle. Just as we can't control the weather, we can't always control when motivation will show up. It's influenced by so many factors: our sleep, our stress levels, our environment, even what we ate for breakfast. This unpredictability makes it difficult to rely on motivation as the driving force behind our actions. It's a fickle friend that can't be counted on to be there when you need it most, especially on the difficult days when you are tired, busy, or discouraged. When life throws obstacles in your path, motivation is often the first thing to disappear. You might have every intention of sticking to your new routine, but when you're exhausted after a long day or feeling overwhelmed by stress, it's easy to let your goals slide. In these moments, motivation feels distant and unreachable, and it's tempting to give up altogether. Relying on motivation to achieve your long-term goals is really a recipe for failure. If you only take action when you feel inspired, you'll find yourself making progress in fits and starts, never building the consistency needed for real change. It's like trying to drive a car that only works when the sun is shining. You might get a few good days, but you'll spend most of your time stuck on the side of the road, waiting for the right conditions to move forward. If you only work on your habits when you feel inspired, you just won't be consistent enough to make real progress. The days you skip add up, and before you know it, your new habit has faded into the background. You might start strong, but without a system to keep you on track, it's easy to lose momentum. The result is a cycle of starting and stopping, always chasing that initial burst of motivation, but never quite catching it. The days you feel motivated are easy. On those days, everything seems to fall into place. You wake up energized, you tackle your to-do list with enthusiasm, and you feel proud of your progress. But these days are the exception, not the rule. Most of the time, life is messy and unpredictable, and motivation is nowhere to be found. The real challenge is showing up on the days you don't. These are the days that separate those who make lasting change from those who don't. It's easy to take action when you feel good, but true growth happens when you push through discomfort and show up anyway. It's about building resilience and learning to keep going, even when you'd rather quit. The professionals in any field don't wait until they feel motivated. They understand that success is built on consistency, not inspiration. Whether it's an athlete, an artist, or a business leader, the people who achieve great things are the ones who show up day after day, regardless of how they feel. They treat their work like a job, not a hobby, and they build routines that support their goals. The writer writes even when they don't feel creative. They know that waiting for inspiration is a luxury they can't afford. Instead, they sit down at their desk, open their notebook or laptop, and start putting words on the page. Some days, the words flow easily, other days, it's a struggle. But by showing up consistently, they build the discipline and skill needed to produce great work over time. The athlete trains even when they don't feel energetic. They understand that progress is made in the small, everyday choices, the early morning runs, the late night practices, the extra reps when no one is watching. These moments might not be glamorous, but they're the foundation of success. By sticking to their routine, even when motivation is low, athletes build the habits that lead to long-term improvement. They don't let their mood dictate their actions. Instead, they rely on systems and routines to guide their behavior. This approach removes the need to constantly negotiate with themselves about whether or not to take action. It's not about feeling like doing the work. It's about doing the work no matter what. This is where the power of a system comes into play. A system is a set of habits, routines, and structures that make it easier to do the right thing, even when you don't feel like it. Systems take the guesswork out of decision-making and help you stay on track, no matter what life throws your way. They create a safety net that catches you when motivation fails. A well-designed system of habits removes the need for motivation. When you have a clear plan and a set of routines to follow, you don't have to rely on willpower or inspiration to get things done. Instead, you simply follow the steps you've laid out for yourself. Over time, these actions become automatic, and you start to make progress without even thinking about it. Your habits are automated choices that you perform without much thought or effort. Think about the things you do every day without even realizing it. Brushing your teeth, making your morning coffee, locking the door when you leave the house. These actions don't require motivation because they're ingrained in your routine. They happen almost on autopilot, freeing up your mental energy for more important decisions. You don't need to feel motivated to brush your teeth in the morning. You just do it because it's part of your routine. The same principle can be applied to any habit you want to build. By making your desired behaviors automatic, you remove the need to constantly convince yourself to take action. It becomes something you just do, no matter how you're feeling. The goal is to make your important habits just as automatic. This means designing your environment and your routines in a way that makes it easy to do the right thing and hard to do the wrong thing. It's about setting yourself up for success by removing obstacles and creating cues that prompt you to take action. When your environment is designed to make the good habit easy and the bad habit difficult, you are no longer relying on willpower or inspiration to make the right choice. For example, if you want to exercise more, lay out your workout clothes the night before and keep your sneakers by the door. If you want to eat healthier, keep nutritious snacks within reach and hide the junk food out of sight. These small changes can have a big impact on your behavior over time. The key is to design a system that works for you even on your worst days. Your system should be simple, flexible, and forgiving. It should help you stay on track when life gets busy or stressful, and it should make it easy to get back on track if you slip up. Remember, the goal isn't perfection, it's progress. A good system helps you keep moving forward, even when things don't go as planned. Make your habits so small and easy to start that you can do them even when you have zero motivation. This is especially important on the days when you're tired, stressed, or just not feeling it. By lowering the barrier to entry, you make it more likely that you'll take action, even if it's just a small step. Over time, these small actions add up to big results. This is the idea behind the 2-minute rule, which we will explore later. The rule suggests that any new habit should take less than 2 minutes to complete. The idea is to make starting so easy that you can't say no. Once you've started, it's much easier to keep going. The hardest part is often just getting started, and the 2-minute rule helps you overcome that initial resistance. By making your habits incredibly easy to begin, you make it much more likely that you will show up consistently. Consistency is the secret ingredient to lasting change. It's not about doing a lot all at once. It's about doing a little bit every day over a long period of time. This steady, persistent effort is what leads to real transformation. And consistency is what builds the momentum that carries you through the inevitable dips in motivation. When you show up day after day, even in small ways, you create a sense of progress and accomplishment. This momentum makes it easier to keep going, even when motivation is low. Over time, your habits become a source of strength and stability, helping you weather the ups and downs of life. We must move beyond a reliance on feeling good and instead build systems that ensure we do good. By focusing on building strong habits and reliable routines, we create a foundation for success that doesn't depend on fleeting bursts of motivation. Instead, we become the kind of person who takes action, day in and day out, regardless of how we feel. This is the true path to lasting change and meaningful progress in any area of life. How do we actually build these atomic habits and create the systems that lead to success? This is a question that has fascinated scientists, psychologists, and high achievers for decades. We all want to know, what separates those who consistently reach their goals from those who struggle to make progress? Is it willpower, motivation, or something else entirely? The answer, as it turns out, lies in the small, seemingly insignificant choices we make every day. Choices that, over time, compound into remarkable results. But knowing this isn't enough. We need a clear, actionable path to follow. It's not enough to simply understand the theory. Reading about habits, listening to experts, or even attending seminars can spark inspiration, but real change happens only when we put knowledge into practice. The gap between knowing and doing is where most people get stuck. We need a bridge, a way to translate insight into action and action into lasting transformation. That's where a practical framework comes in. We need a set of rules, a blueprint that guides us step by step. Think of it as a map for your personal growth journey, a reliable system you can return to whenever you want to build a new habit or break an old one. This framework isn't about rigid discipline or forcing yourself to change overnight. Instead, it's about making small adjustments to your environment, your routines, and your mindset, so that good habits become almost automatic, and bad habits fade away. This framework is built upon 4 simple laws of behavior change. These laws are the foundation of habit formation, distilled from years of scientific research and real-world experimentation. They're easy to remember, but incredibly powerful when applied consistently. Each law addresses a different stage of the habit loop, ensuring that you have a comprehensive strategy for both creating positive behaviors and eliminating negative ones. These laws are derived from the science of how habits are formed in the brain, and they provide a clear and actionable guide for engineering your own habits. Neuroscientists have discovered that habits are encoded in the basal ganglia, a part of the brain responsible for automatic behaviors. When you repeat an action in a consistent context, your brain begins to associate the context with the behavior, eventually turning it into a habit. This process is driven by cues, cravings, responses, and rewards, the 4 stages of the habit loop. The 4 laws of behavior change align perfectly with these stages, giving you a toolkit for reshaping your daily routines at the neurological level. The first law is make it obvious. This law is all about clarity and awareness. Before you can change a habit, you need to recognize it. Many of our behaviors are so ingrained that we don't even notice them. We go through our days on autopilot, repeating the same actions without thinking. By making your habits obvious, you bring them into the light, where you can examine and adjust them. Many of our habits are performed automatically, without conscious awareness. Think about how you brush your teeth, check your phone, or reach for a snack. These actions happen almost reflexively, triggered by subtle cues in your environment. The problem is, if you're not aware of your habits, you can't change them. That's why the first step is always observation, paying attention to what you do, when you do it, and why. So to change them, we must first become aware of them. One effective way to do this is through a habit scorecard. Simply write down your daily routines, from the moment you wake up to the moment you go to bed. As you review your list, ask yourself, which habits serve me, and which ones hold me back? This process of self-reflection is the foundation of all habit change. It's not about judgment, it's about understanding your patterns so you can make intentional choices. This law is all about designing your environment to make the cues for your good habits stand out. Our surroundings have a profound impact on our behavior. If your environment is cluttered with distractions, it's easy to fall into old patterns. But if you arrange your space so that the cues for your desired habits are front and center, you make it much easier to follow through. For example, if you want to eat healthier, place a bowl of fresh fruit on the kitchen counter. If you want to practice guitar, keep your instrument on a stand in the living room. The goal is to make the cues for your good habits impossible to ignore. If you want to read more, put a book on your pillow. This simple act transforms your environment into a trigger for your desired behavior. When you see the book at bedtime, you're reminded of your intention to read, making it much more likely that you'll follow through. The more visible and accessible your cues, the less effort it takes to start the habit. The more obvious the cue, the more likely you are to initiate the habit. Visual reminders, like sticky notes or alarms, can be powerful tools for prompting action. Over time, these cues become associated with the behavior, creating a strong mental link that makes the habit automatic. The key is to eliminate ambiguity. Make it crystal clear when and where your habit should occur. Conversely, to break a bad habit, you want to make its cues invisible. Out of sight, out of mind. If you're trying to cut back on social media, remove the app from your home screen. If you want to stop snacking late at night, keep unhealthy foods out of the house or store them in hard-to-reach places. The less you see the cue, the less likely you are to act on it. Hide the junk food in the back of the pantry. This small change can make a big difference. When the cue is hidden, your brain has to work harder to initiate the habit, which gives you a chance to pause and choose a different action. Over time, the urge to engage in the bad habit weakens, and healthier behaviors take its place. The second law is make it attractive. This law taps into the power of motivation and desire. We are naturally drawn to things that are appealing, enjoyable, or rewarding. If a habit feels like a chore, you'll resist it. But if you can make it fun or enticing, you'll look forward to doing it. We are more likely to repeat a behavior if we find it appealing. This is why marketers spend billions making products look irresistible. You can use the same principle to your advantage by making your habits more attractive. The more you enjoy the process, the more likely you are to stick with it. You can make your habits more attractive by pairing them with something you want to do. This technique, known as temptation bundling, combines a habit you need to do with an activity you enjoy. For example, listen to your favorite podcast while cleaning the house, or treat yourself to a delicious coffee only after you've finished your morning workout. By linking pleasure with productivity, you transform your habits from obligations into opportunities for enjoyment. For example, you could only allow yourself to watch your favorite show while you are on the treadmill. This creates a positive association between exercise and entertainment, making it much easier to stick to your fitness routine. Over time, you'll start to crave the habit, not just for the reward, but for the experience itself. This strategy, known as temptation bundling, links an action you want to do with an action you need to do, making the necessary habit more appealing. It's a simple but powerful way to hack your motivation. When you look forward to the reward, you're more likely to follow through on the habit even when your willpower is low. The more attractive a habit is, the more you will crave the experience of doing it. Craving is the engine that drives behavior. When you anticipate a positive outcome, your brain releases dopamine, a chemical that motivates you to take action. By designing your habits to be enjoyable, you tap into this natural source of motivation, making it easier to stay consistent. The third law is make it easy. This law is all about reducing friction and lowering the barriers to action. The easier a habit is to start, the more likely you are to do it. Complexity is the enemy of execution. If a habit requires too much effort, you'll put it off or avoid it altogether. And the fourth is, make it satisfying. This law focuses on the importance of immediate rewards. Our brains are wired to seek pleasure and avoid pain. When a habit feels good, we want to repeat it. When it feels unpleasant, we avoid it. By making your habit satisfying, you reinforce the behavior and increase the likelihood of repetition. We are naturally drawn to the path of least resistance, so the easier a habit is to perform, the more likely we are to do it. This is why successful people focus on making good habits as simple and convenient as possible. Want to exercise more? Lay out your workout clothes the night before. Want to eat healthier? Prep your meals in advance. The less effort required, the more consistent you'll be. This involves reducing the friction associated with good habits and increasing the friction for bad ones. Make the behaviors you want to adopt as easy as possible and make the behaviors you want to avoid as difficult as possible. For example, if you want to stop watching TV late at night, unplug the television and put the remote in another room. If you want to drink more water, keep a bottle on your desk. Small changes in your environment can have a big impact on your behavior. Finally, we are more likely to repeat a behavior if the ending is satisfying. Immediate rewards are powerful motivators. When you feel a sense of accomplishment or pleasure after completing a habit, your brain takes note and encourages you to do it again. This is why celebrating small wins is so important. Each time you finish a task, take a moment to acknowledge your progress. Give yourself a pat on the back, check off a box, or share your success with a friend. The brain prioritizes immediate rewards, so finding a way to give yourself a small, immediate sense of satisfaction after completing a good habit can help lock it in for the long term. This could be as simple as marking an X on a calendar, enjoying a piece of dark chocolate, or taking a few minutes to relax. The key is to make the reward meaningful and consistent, so your brain learns to associate the habit with positive feelings. These 4 laws provide the backbone for the journey ahead. They are your roadmap for building better habits and breaking bad ones. By making your habits obvious, attractive, easy, and satisfying, you set yourself up for lasting change. Remember, transformation doesn't happen overnight. It's the result of small, consistent actions, repeated day after day. As you move forward, keep these laws in mind and use them to design a life that aligns with your values and aspirations. The power to change is in your hands, one small habit at a time. This essay is designed to be more than just a collection of interesting ideas. It's a living, breathing guide meant to accompany you on your journey of personal growth and transformation. Think of it as a trusted companion, one that doesn't just inspire you with lofty concepts, but actually walks beside you step by step as you work to create meaningful change in your life. Whether you're looking to break free from old patterns, build new habits, or simply understand yourself better, this essay is crafted to be your roadmap, a practical, actionable resource you can return to again and again. It's intended to be a practical guide, a roadmap that you can follow to transform your life. Imagine you're setting out on a journey to a place you've never been before. You wouldn't just rely on vague directions or hope for the best. You'd want a clear map, a set of instructions, and maybe even a few tips from someone who's traveled the path before. That's what this essay aims to provide, a clear, step-by-step route from where you are now to where you want to be, with all the twists, turns, and detours along the way mapped out for you. We've started this introduction by exploring the why we want to change, why we feel the urge to grow, and why the status quo is no longer enough. Change is rarely easy, and it's often uncomfortable, but it's also the only way to move forward. By understanding the deeper motivations behind our desire for transformation, we lay a strong foundation for everything that follows. We've asked ourselves the tough questions. What's driving us? What do we hope to achieve? And what's at stake if we don't take action? We've also looked honestly at why our previous attempts at change may have failed. Maybe we set goals that were too ambitious, or we tried to overhaul our lives overnight. Perhaps we relied on willpower alone, only to find it running out when we needed it most. Or maybe we simply didn't have the right tools or strategies. By acknowledging these setbacks, we can learn from them and avoid repeating the same mistakes. And we've discovered that small habits, tiny, almost invisible actions repeated consistently are the key to unlocking our potential. It's not about making huge, dramatic changes overnight. Instead, it's about planting seeds, nurturing them, and allowing them to grow over time. These small habits, when compounded, can lead to extraordinary results. They're the building blocks of transformation, the foundation upon which lasting change is built. We've laid the groundwork by shifting our focus from goals to systems, from destinations to direction. Instead of obsessing over the finish line, we're learning to fall in love with the process. We're building systems that support our desired outcomes, creating environments that make good habits easier and bad habits harder. This shift in perspective is subtle but powerful. It's the difference between chasing fleeting results and building a life that naturally leads to success. And from outcomes to identity, we're not just trying to change what we do, we're working to change who we are. When our habits align with our identity, when we see ourselves as the kind of person who exercises, reads, or eats healthily, change becomes effortless. It's no longer something we have to force. It's simply a reflection of who we are. Now, we're ready to move into the how. This is where the real work begins. It's one thing to understand the theory, to know why change matters and what stands in our way. It's another thing entirely to put that knowledge into practice, to take concrete steps toward building better habits and a better life. The following parts of this essay will walk you through the entire process of building better habits, step by step. You'll learn not just what to do, but how to do it, how to break down big goals into manageable actions, how to track your progress, and how to stay motivated even when things get tough. Each section is designed to build on the last, creating a comprehensive framework you can use to create lasting change. We'll dive deep into the science of how habits work, drawing on the latest research from psychology, neuroscience, and behavioral economics. You'll discover why habits are so powerful, how they're formed, and why they're so hard to break. We'll explore the hidden forces that shape your behavior, often without you even realizing it, and how you can harness those forces to your advantage. We'll break down the four-stage loop of cue, craving, response, and reward in simple, easy-to-understand terms. You'll see how every habit, good or bad, follows this same pattern, and how you can use this knowledge to create new habits or change old ones. By understanding the mechanics of habit formation, you'll gain the power to intervene at any stage of the loop, making it easier to build the habits you want and break the ones you don't. Understanding this mechanism is crucial because it gives you the power to intervene and redesign the habits that shape your life. You'll learn how to identify the cues that trigger your habits, how to reshape your cravings, how to make your responses more automatic, and how to ensure your rewards reinforce the behaviors you want to keep. This isn't just theory. It's a practical toolkit you can use to take control of your habits, and, by extension, your life. Knowledge is the first step toward control. When you understand how habits work, you're no longer at the mercy of your impulses or routines. You become the architect of your own behavior, able to design systems and environments that support your goals. This sense of control is empowering. It gives you the confidence to tackle even the most stubborn habits, knowing that you have the tools and understanding to succeed. We'll demystify the inner workings of your brain so you can work with it, not against it. You'll learn how your brain creates and reinforces habits, why change can feel so difficult, and how to make the process easier by aligning your actions with your natural tendencies. We'll explore the role of dopamine, the power of repetition, and the importance of making habits obvious, attractive, easy, and satisfying. Next, we'll explore the remarkable power of tiny changes in detail. You'll see how making small adjustments to your daily routine can lead to massive improvements over time. We'll look at the science of compounding, how small, consistent actions add up to big results, and why focusing on getting just 1% better every day can transform your life in ways you never imagined. With real-life examples and practical strategies, you'll learn how to apply these principles in your own life. We'll share stories of people who have used small habits to achieve incredible things, from athletes and artists to entrepreneurs and everyday individuals. You'll see that transformation isn't reserved for the extraordinary. It's available to anyone willing to take small, consistent steps. We'll look at how to apply the 4 laws of behavior change to create good habits and eliminate bad ones. These laws, make it obvious, make it attractive, make it easy, and make it satisfying, are the foundation of effective habit formation. You'll learn how to use each law to your advantage, designing habits that stick and breaking free from those that hold you back. For each law, we'll provide you with a toolkit of simple techniques you can start using immediately. These aren't complicated theories or abstract concepts. They're practical, actionable steps you can take today. Whether you want to start exercising, eat healthier, read more, or simply be more productive, you'll find strategies tailored to your needs and lifestyle. These are not complex theories, but straightforward tactics designed for real-world application. You'll learn how to set up reminders, create visual cues, and use positive reinforcement to make your habits stick. We'll show you how to troubleshoot common obstacles, overcome setbacks, and stay on track even when life gets busy or stressful. You'll learn how to design your environment for success, how to stay motivated, and how to make your desired behaviors the path of least resistance. We'll explore the importance of surrounding yourself with supportive people, creating routines that fit your life, and celebrating your progress along the way, and how to get back on track when you slip up. Because let's face it, no one is perfect. We all stumble, we all face setbacks, and we all have days when things don't go as planned. The key is not to be perfect, but to be persistent. You'll learn how to recover quickly from mistakes, forgive yourself, and keep moving forward, no matter what challenges arise. This essay is your companion on this journey. It's here to support you, encourage you, and provide you with the tools and knowledge you need to succeed. You're not alone. Countless others have walked this path before you, and their stories, struggles, and successes are woven throughout these pages. It's structured to guide you from understanding to action. Each chapter builds on the last, taking you from the basics of habit formation to advanced strategies for lasting change. You'll move from simply knowing what to do to actually doing it, turning knowledge into action and action into results. The goal is not for you to simply read these words, nod in agreement, and then go back to your old routines. The real value comes from putting these ideas into practice, from experimenting, adapting, and finding what works for you. This is a hands-on guide, meant to be used, tested, and personalized, but for you to use them to build a better life. Imagine waking up each day with a sense of purpose, knowing that you're making progress, no matter how small, toward the person you want to become. Picture yourself overcoming obstacles, building resilience, and celebrating the small wins that add up to big changes. Think of it as an operating manual for human improvement. Just as you'd consult a manual to fix a car or assemble furniture, you can use this essay to troubleshoot your habits, optimize your routines, and fine-tune your approach to personal growth. It's a resource you can return to whenever you need guidance, inspiration, or a fresh perspective. By the time you reach the conclusion, you'll have more than just a collection of tips and tricks. You'll have a complete integrated framework for understanding yourself, changing your habits, and creating the life you want. You'll have the confidence to tackle new challenges, the resilience to bounce back from setbacks, and the clarity to keep moving forward one step at a time. You'll have a complete framework for getting 1% better every day. This isn't about perfection or overnight success. It's about steady, incremental progress. It's about showing up, doing the work, and trusting that small improvements will compound over time into extraordinary results. You'll have the tools you need to break bad habits, build good ones, and create a life that reflects your values, aspirations, and potential. You'll be equipped to face challenges with confidence, adapt to change, and keep growing, no matter what life throws your way. And most importantly, you'll understand that transformation is not a destination, but a journey made up of countless small steps, each one bringing you closer to the person you want to become. So as you turn the page and continue this journey, remember, every big change starts with a single small step. Let's take that step together. As we prepare to dive into the practical strategies for habit formation, it's important to adopt the right mindset for the path ahead. Before we get into the nuts and bolts of building new habits, let's pause for a moment and reflect on what this process truly means. Too often, we approach self-improvement with a sense of urgency, as if we're racing against the clock or competing with others. But real, lasting change doesn't happen overnight. It's not about how quickly you can transform your life, but about how deeply you can root these changes so they become a natural part of who you are. It's crucial to remember that building better habits is a journey, not a race. Imagine yourself setting out on a long hike through beautiful, ever-changing landscapes. There will be stretches where the path is smooth and the scenery is breathtaking, and other times when the trail is steep, rocky, or shrouded in fog. The important thing is not how fast you move, but that you keep moving forward, step by step, appreciating the journey as it unfolds. There is no finish line you need to sprint toward. In fact, the idea of a finish line can be misleading. When we think of self-improvement as a race, we set ourselves up for disappointment because there will always be more to learn, more to grow, and new challenges to face. The process of building habits is ongoing, a continuous evolution rather than a destination you reach and then stop. There is no competition against anyone else. Your journey is uniquely yours, shaped by your experiences, your values, and your goals. It's easy to look at others and feel like you're falling behind, but remember, everyone is walking their own path, at their own pace, facing their own obstacles. The only person you need to measure yourself against is the person you were yesterday. The only comparison you should be making is with who you were yesterday. Take a moment to reflect on your own progress, no matter how small. Did you make a slightly better choice today than you did last week? Did you show up for yourself, even in a small way? These are the victories that matter most because they add up over time and create real, lasting change. The goal is slow, steady, sustainable progress, not a frantic burst of effort that leads to burnout. Think of habit formation as planting a seed and nurturing it day by day. You wouldn't expect a tree to grow overnight, nor should you expect instant results from yourself. Consistency, patience, and gentle persistence are your greatest allies on this journey. You'll have days when you feel like you're making great strides. On those days, celebrate your momentum and let it fuel your motivation. Savor the feeling of progress and use it as a reminder that your efforts are paying off, even if the results are not always immediately visible. You'll also have days when you feel like you're stuck or even moving backward. This is a natural part of any journey. There will be setbacks, plateaus, and moments of doubt. When these days come, try to view them with compassion rather than frustration. Every step, even the difficult ones, is part of your growth. This is normal and expected. Progress is rarely linear. Just as the weather changes from sunny to stormy and back again, your motivation and energy will ebb and flow. The important thing is to keep showing up, even when it feels hard, and to trust that the clouds will eventually part. The path of progress is not a smooth, straight highway. It's a winding country road with hills, valleys, and unexpected turns. Sometimes you'll find yourself climbing a steep hill, feeling the effort in every step. Other times you'll coast downhill, enjoying the ease and momentum. And occasionally you'll encounter a fork in the road, requiring you to pause, reflect, and choose your next direction. The key is to keep moving forward, no matter how slowly. Progress is progress, no matter the pace. Even the smallest step in the right direction is a victory. Over time, these small steps accumulate, leading to significant transformation. Do not get discouraged by a single bad day or a week that doesn't go according to plan. Life is unpredictable, and setbacks are inevitable. What matters most is your willingness to get back on track, to forgive yourself, and to keep moving forward. Remember, resilience is built not by avoiding failure, but by learning how to recover from it. The master has failed more times than the beginner has even tried. Be patient with yourself. Every expert was once a beginner, and every journey is filled with missteps and lessons learned. Embrace your mistakes as opportunities for growth, and trust that each attempt brings you closer to your goals. It's taken years to build your current habits, and it'll take time to build new ones. Habits are like grooves worn into a path by repeated footsteps. The more you walk the new path, the deeper and more natural it becomes. Give yourself the grace to move at your own pace, knowing that meaningful change is a gradual process. You're essentially rewiring your brain, and that process requires repetition and consistency. Each time you practice your new habit, you're strengthening the neural pathways that make it easier and more automatic in the future. This is the science behind habit formation. Small, repeated actions create lasting change in your brain and your life. Celebrate your small wins along the way. Every time you choose the new habit, no matter how minor it seems, you're casting a vote for the person you want to become. These moments of success deserve recognition because they reinforce your commitment and build your confidence. Every time you stick to your new habit, acknowledge it. Mark it on your calendar, jot it down in a journal, or simply pause to appreciate your effort. These small acts of acknowledgement create a positive feedback loop, making it more likely that you'll repeat the behavior in the future. Give yourself credit for showing up. Even on days when you don't feel like it, the act of showing up is a powerful statement of your commitment to yourself. Over time, these small acts of self-respect add up, shaping your identity and your future. This positive reinforcement will help you stay motivated and enjoy the process. When you focus on what you're doing right rather than what you're doing wrong, you create an environment of encouragement and growth. Motivation is not something you have or don't have, it's something you cultivate, one small win at a time. Do not postpone your satisfaction until you reach some distant goal. If you wait to feel proud or happy until you've achieved perfection, you'll miss out on the joy that comes from the process itself. Learn to find satisfaction in the journey, in the daily practice, and in the small moments of progress. Find joy in the journey itself. Notice the beauty around you, the lessons you're learning, and the ways you're growing. The journey is where life happens, and the more you can appreciate it, the more fulfilling your experience will be. This process is about creating a lifestyle, not about completing a short-term project. Habits are the building blocks of your daily life, shaping your routines, your mindset, and your sense of well-being. When you focus on building habits that align with your values and aspirations, you're creating a foundation for a life that feels meaningful and authentic. The habits you build should be ones you can see yourself maintaining for years to come, not just for a few weeks. Ask yourself, is this something I can imagine doing for the rest of my life? If not, how can I adjust it to make it more sustainable, more enjoyable, and more aligned with who I want to be? That's why starting small is so important. When you begin with tiny, manageable steps, you set yourself up for success. Small habits are easier to maintain, less overwhelming, and more likely to become a natural part of your routine. Over time, these small steps can lead to big changes. A small habit is a sustainable habit. It's better to do a little bit every day than to try to do everything at once and burn out. Remember, consistency beats intensity when it comes to building habits that last. As you embark on this journey, remember to be kind to yourself, to be patient with the process, and to focus on the direction you're heading. There will be days when you stumble, but what matters is that you get back up and keep moving forward. Self-compassion is the fuel that will keep you going when motivation wanes. This is not a race to be won, but a path to be walked, one small step at a time. Each day is an opportunity to take another step, to learn, to grow, and to become a little bit better than you were before. So as we move forward together, keep this mindset close to your heart. Progress, not perfection. Journey, not race. The path ahead is yours to walk, and every step you take is a victory worth celebrating. We stand at the beginning of a path that holds incredible promise. Imagine yourself right now, at the threshold of something new, a journey that could reshape your habits, your mindset, and ultimately, your life. The air is filled with anticipation, a quiet sense of possibility. You might feel a flutter of excitement, or perhaps a tinge of nervousness, as you look ahead at the road before you. This is a moment of potential, a pause before movement, where everything is possible and nothing has yet been decided. The first step is always the most significant, not because it is the largest, but because it is the one that transforms intention into action. It is the bridge between dreaming and doing, between wishing and becoming. We've talked about the desire for change, the power of compounding, the importance of identity, and the framework we will use to build a better life. These are the building blocks of transformation, the foundation upon which you will construct your new habits and routines. You may have spent time reflecting, jotting down ideas in a notebook, or mapping out your goals for the future. Perhaps you've even imagined what your life could look like if you made just a few small changes. All of this preparation is valuable, but it is only the beginning. The real magic happens when you move from planning to action, from theory to practice. It's easy to get caught up in the excitement of big ideas, but lasting change is built on the smallest of actions, repeated consistently over time. Honestly, it can feel like a lot to take in. The sheer volume of advice, strategies, and possibilities can be overwhelming. You might find yourself wondering if you're ready, or if you have what it takes to follow through. It's natural to feel a bit daunted when you're standing at the edge of something new. Change, even positive change, can be intimidating. It asks us to step outside our comfort zones, to challenge old patterns, and to embrace uncertainty. But remember, feeling overwhelmed is not a sign that you're incapable. It's a sign that you care. It means you recognize the importance of what you're about to do. The sheer possibility of transformation can sometimes feel overwhelming, leaving us wondering where on earth to begin. When you look at the entire journey ahead, it can seem impossibly long, filled with obstacles and unknowns. You might worry about making mistakes, about not being perfect, or about losing motivation along the way. The path can appear daunting, stretching out before you with no clear end in sight. But here's the truth. You don't have to walk the whole path today. You don't have to solve every problem or anticipate every challenge. All you need to do is take the first step. The journey of 1,000 miles, as the saying goes, begins with a single step, and that step is always within your reach. The answer is simple. You begin with a single small step, not a leap, not a sprint, but a gentle movement forward. This first action doesn't need to be impressive or dramatic. In fact, the smaller and more manageable it is, the better. The goal is not to overwhelm yourself, but to create momentum. Think of it as planting a seed. It may seem insignificant at first, but with time and care, it will grow into something remarkable. The first step is about breaking the inertia, about proving to yourself that you are capable of movement, no matter how modest. The first step on this journey is not a giant leap. It's the smallest, most manageable action you can take. It's the act of showing up, of making a commitment to yourself, even if it's just for a moment. This could be as simple as standing up from your chair, taking a deep breath, or writing down a single intention for the day. The key is to make it so easy, so accessible, that you cannot possibly fail. When you lower the barrier to entry, you remove the excuses and the resistance that often hold us back. You make it possible to succeed even on your worst days. You do not need to have everything figured out right now. In fact, you don't need to have a detailed plan at all. The beauty of starting small is that it allows you to learn as you go, to adjust your course based on what you discover along the way. You can give yourself permission to be a beginner, to make mistakes, and to grow at your own pace. There is no rush, no deadline, no pressure to be perfect. All that matters is that you begin. The rest will unfold naturally, step by step. You do not need to overhaul your entire life today. In fact, trying to change everything at once is a recipe for frustration and burnout. Sustainable change is built on consistency, not intensity. It's about making small adjustments, one at a time, and allowing them to accumulate over weeks and months. You might be tempted to set ambitious goals or to chase quick results, but remember, the most profound transformations are often the quietest. They happen slowly, almost imperceptibly, until one day you look back and realize how far you've come. All you need to do is choose one small habit and start. It could be anything: a single push-up, a glass of water, a minute of meditation, or a line in your journal. The specific action doesn't matter as much as the act of choosing. When you select one small habit, you give yourself a clear, tangible starting point. You eliminate the paralysis of choice and focus your energy on something you can actually do. This is the essence of progress. Not grand gestures, but tiny, deliberate actions, repeated day after day. What is one tiny thing you can do today that will move you in the right direction? Take a moment to reflect. It doesn't have to be impressive or life-changing. It just needs to be something you can do right now, without preparation or special equipment. Maybe it's drinking a glass of water, taking a short walk, or sending a kind message to a friend. The important thing is that it's small enough to feel effortless, but meaningful enough to signal your commitment to change. Can you drink one extra glass of water? It might seem trivial, but it's a powerful act of self-care. By choosing to hydrate your body, you're sending a message to yourself: I am worth taking care of. This small gesture can be the spark that ignites a chain reaction of positive choices. It's not about the water, it's about the intention behind it. Every time you choose to do something good for yourself, no matter how minor, you reinforce the belief that you are capable of change. Can you put on your running shoes? You don't have to run a marathon or even leave the house. Just the act of putting on your shoes is a victory. It's a signal to your brain that you are preparing for action, that you are willing to show up for yourself. Sometimes the hardest part is simply getting ready. Once you've taken that first step, the next one becomes easier. Momentum builds, and what once felt impossible begins to feel inevitable. Can you write one sentence? Not a page, not a chapter, just a single sentence. This could be a thought, a goal, a reflection, or even a question. The act of putting pen to paper, however briefly, is a declaration of intent. It's a way of capturing your thoughts, of making your aspirations tangible. Over time, these small acts of writing can accumulate into a powerful record of your journey, a testament to your growth and resilience. Can you meditate for just 1 minute? You don't need to master the art of mindfulness or achieve perfect stillness. All you need to do is pause, close your eyes, and breathe. In that single minute, you create space for calm, for clarity, for self-awareness. Meditation is not about emptying your mind, but about noticing your thoughts and letting them pass. Even a brief moment of stillness can have a profound impact on your mood, your focus, and your sense of well-being. The goal is not to achieve a result immediately, but to begin the process of casting a vote for your new identity. Every small action is a vote for the person you want to become. When you drink that glass of water, put on your shoes, write that sentence, or meditate for a minute, you are reinforcing the belief that you are someone who takes care of themselves, who values growth, who is willing to try. Over time, these votes add up, shaping your identity and your future. The power of this first small step cannot be overstated. It breaks the inertia. It shatters the illusion that you need to wait for the perfect moment, the perfect plan, or the perfect mood. Action creates clarity. When you move, even in a small way, you learn something new about yourself and your capabilities. You discover that you are not as stuck as you thought, that change is possible, and that progress is within your grasp. It overcomes the resistance of getting started. The hardest part of any journey is often the beginning. We hesitate. We procrastinate. We tell ourselves that we'll start tomorrow. But tomorrow never comes, not unless we make it happen today. By taking that first step, you break the cycle of inaction. You prove to yourself that you are capable of movement, that you can overcome the inertia that holds you back. It proves to you that you can take action. This is a powerful realization. Once you've taken that first step, no matter how small, you have evidence that you are capable of change. You can look back and say, I did it. I started. This sense of accomplishment, however minor, builds confidence. It creates a positive feedback loop where each small success makes the next one easier. The momentum generated by this first tiny action can carry you into the next one and the one after that. Progress is not a straight line. It's a series of small steps, each one building on the last. As you accumulate these tiny victories, you begin to see yourself differently. You start to believe in your ability to change, to grow, to become the person you want to be. Momentum is a powerful force. Once you're in motion, it becomes easier to stay in motion. Starting is often the hardest part. The mind is a master of creating obstacles, of inventing reasons to delay or avoid action. We tell ourselves that we need more time, more information, more motivation, but the truth is, you don't need any of those things to begin. You just need to take one small step. Once you do, the barriers start to crumble. The path becomes clearer, and the journey feels less intimidating. By making the start ridiculously small, you make it easy to overcome that initial hurdle. The smaller the action, the less resistance you'll face. You don't need to summon willpower or motivation. You just need to do something so simple that it feels almost effortless. This is the secret to building habits that last. When you lower the bar, you make it possible to succeed, even on your busiest or most challenging days. You are not committing to running a marathon. You are just committing to putting on your shoes. Anyone can do that. The beauty of starting small is that it removes the pressure to be perfect or to achieve instant results. You give yourself permission to be a beginner, to take things one step at a time. Over time, these small actions add up, creating a foundation for bigger changes in the future. So, as we conclude this introduction and prepare to delve into the detailed strategies, I want you to remember this. Every journey begins with a single step. It doesn't matter how small or insignificant it may seem. What matters is that you start. The strategies and techniques we'll explore in the coming chapters will build on this foundation, helping you to create lasting change, one small habit at a time. I invite you to think about your first, smallest step. What will it be? Take a moment to reflect on your goals, your values, and your aspirations. What is one tiny action you can take today that aligns with the person you want to become? It could be as simple as making your bed, drinking a glass of water, or writing down a single intention for the day. The important thing is that you choose something that feels easy, manageable, and meaningful to you. Choose something so easy that you cannot say no. This is your opportunity to set yourself up for success. When you make the first step effortless, you remove the barriers that often prevent you from starting. You create a sense of momentum, a feeling of progress, even before you've achieved any major results. This is the power of starting small. It makes change feel possible, even inevitable. This is not just a theoretical exercise. It's a practical, actionable step that you can take right now. The journey to a better life is not about waiting for the perfect moment or the perfect plan. It's about taking action, however small, and trusting that each step will lead you closer to your goals. You don't need to have all the answers. You just need to begin. This is your call to action. The sun is rising on a new day, a new opportunity to become the person you want to be. The world is full of possibilities, and the only thing standing between you and your goals is the decision to take